Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, bringing new meaning to the word Victory Monday. Welcome in, everybody. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, an historic weekend in the city of Philadelphia. Not only do you have the undefeated Flyers, but you have the Phillies who advance to the NLCS. They take care of business against the world champs, by the way, who they booted out of town. And then you cap it off last night by the Eagles beating the Cowboys, not just anybody, the Dallas Cowboys, to remain undefeated. This is about as good as it gets. Welcome in, fellas. How we doing, man?
What's
It's
going
a
on,
wonderful
guys?
day, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. That's all.
It is.
Nothing but positivity to talk about.
And I see everybody in the chat section is already fired up. I am with you. How can't you be fired up? And who's the cowboy weasel that has infiltrated the chat room over the last couple of weeks?
Right.
Where's he at now? That's the question I'm asking. Is he under his rock where the rest of the Cowboy fans exist until they somehow beat some stiff? We welcome all comers, man. But that was awesome last night. The Eagles took care of business. It had a very similar script, if you think about it, to what we've seen a lot this year, but in particular the week before in Arizona, where when you had to have a late drive, you got it. And this time it was a touchdown to put the game away. So that was awesome. I mean, I don't even know where to start. There is so much happening right now. It is a blessed time in Philadelphia sports.
Let me ask you this, Rob. You being the native Philadelphian that you are and the historian that you are, compare this to any other weekend. When you talk about the perfect storm of pro teams in this city, compare this to another weekend you might have experienced in your lifetime.
Derek, the answer is I don't recall. I don't recall a weekend with this kind of significance and weight to it, like where a baseball team advances to a National League Championship Series for the first time since 2009, where a football team remains the lone undefeated team in the entire league, and they beat the Cowboys, who had been, let's face it, had their number. And you're on the cusp of a Sixer season, which we're not even thinking about starting tomorrow, and the Flyers won. And not only that, there were so many moments along the way, like Rhys Hoskins' home run Friday with the bat slam, the Real Muto inside the park home run. And then you go to last night. And the best part of last night, to me at least, was the end of the game when the Cowboys are coming unglued and they're dirty plays against Kelsey. Micah Parsons loses his mind. Like Nick Sirianni, Diggs
lost his mind.
Nick Sirianni screaming across the field, bleep you. Like, I mean, it was like a movie. It was like something was written, not played out in reality, like happened. So I don't know, Derek. I can't remember in all my years something that compares.
Yo, remember when we were on Breakfast on Broad, when we first started out? This is in 2015. We were like in the worst sports era ever during that time period. The Eagles sucked. The Sixers had just started. What was the GM's name then?
Sam Hinkie.
Yeah, Hinkieism, when he started, just losing on purpose, putting a big league team out there. That had just started. The Flyers started out sucking. Then they hit a little run, but it was like the worst basketball I've seen out of an NBA team. I mean, there was nothing that we could rely on to talk about during that time period that was positive. The baseball team was the worst I'd ever seen. Ruben had just got fired, and they were going into that transition right then. But look at now. We're talking about the big four sports are looking, with a bright future, at least. Even the Flyers, with them winning 2 games in a row. I mean, something positive to say about them and, what they have going on now.
Last week, when we were talking about the Flyers and we were discussing, is there legitimate interest in the Flyers right now? This team was in such a feeding frenzy with the Phillies and the Eagles. And I said, if the Flyers got off to a good start, the fan base would gravitate towards the Flyers, new direction, a lot of curiosity about, are they just as bad as they were last season? Right. Would there be a turnaround? The best thing that could happen to that team to be entrenched into all of this enthusiasm and excitement was for them to get off to that 2-0 start. Because now I'm even looking at on social media, people are talking about the Flyers also. I'm waiting for people. We were waiting for people. Flyers as expected, they suck. No, Tortorella's got him play. I don't know what he's doing. It's still early in the season. Let's see if they can sustain this and stay relevant the whole season. But right now, people are like, wait a minute, the Flyers are 2-0. Right. That was a lot of the scuttlebutt you heard around the casino as well. People entrenched in football. You're talking Phillies, and hey, by the way, can you believe the Flyers are 2-0?
Yeah,
and Carter Hart's playing out of his mind the first 2 games.
Well, I think that's what that's what Chuck wanted to focus on when he brought in Tortorella. He wanted to make sure that he can get his goalie in the right mindset. With the goalie comes, the way this team goes.
No doubt. Look, I just think there's so much happening right now. It's almost hard to process. And I'll tell you what it does. It makes the turnaround that a lot of people had who watched the game last night, had to get up early today. It makes that turnaround that much sweeter, right?
Right.
Eagles lose last night, or Phillies get knocked off this weekend, man. You're dragging today. You got a little bit extra pep in your step because the teams take care of business. There are very few things that can do that, like sports. They can kind of change things for you.
Absolutely.
And change your mood and change the entire outlook of a city. It's what makes it so special. It's why we love sports.
Sports cross all barriers, all race, creeds, economical status, everything. It crosses all barriers. So you can sit around a water cooler and hate somebody, but still be able to conversate with somebody about sports. There's something that you like about sports. You know what I'm saying? All races, genders, you name it.
Yeah.
And right now we're going through some pretty good times in sports, man. I'm just sucking it up, taking it all in.
Yeah. That's the key, Barrett. Smell the roses. Like this doesn't happen often. Enjoy it. Savor it. Don't be let's go to the next one. Like, I think the Phillies have shown us they've done a really good job of celebrating in the moment. Like, if you watch them on the field Saturday, then in the clubhouse, then they roll to Xfinity Live and they're partying there with all the fans. Like, I think that's great. Like, enjoy and savor the moment. The next day you're on to your business, but take it all in. And I think today is a take it in day because the game ended 13 hours ago. Okay?
Right.
Enjoy the game. The Phillies don't play till tomorrow. Enjoy it. Suck it all up.
And you see what happens when this type of thing happens. The sports start crossing. You know what I'm saying? The streams start crossing. You got Embiid showing up for baseball and football games. You know what I mean? It starts bringing the city together. Hell, you might look around and find Carter Hart at a football game or something. You never know, man.
Well, you know what I thought was really cool too? It was a funny moment. You guys probably saw this. Embiid's on the field. And he's playing around. He's throwing the football. You can tell he has no idea. He's not holding it by the laces.
This is not the football I play.
Yeah.
I play on a different football.
Right. This is not my football. A.J. Brown comes over to him. A.J. Brown's a big dude, man.
Right.
Okay? And you can see that he goes like that, like they dab each other. And then he kind of goes like this, like Joe, like, dude, you're big, man. Like, even you look big on TV, but you're really big. Right, and then there was another really cool moment. I think Embiid was getting ready to get off the field, and he spotted Kelsey, and Kelsey spotted him. and Kelsey came walking over, and you could just tell the mutual respect that the two had for one another. It was just one of those moments where I was like, that's, like game recognizes game, right?
Exactly.
And those two sort of just looked at each other like, yeah, all right, we both know we're badasses. It was just really cool. It was a great night in general. And just, man, it just finished the weekend off perfectly. It really did.
I enjoyed, man, just everything that went with this whole weekend. I mean, it was truly, I wasn't playing around. It was truly hard for me to sleep this entire weekend, starting from Thursday on. I was just eating up everything I could. Just eating it up, taking it all in, man. Because you never get time, dude. What is going on? We are a series and a half away from, a World Series.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And it's crazy. Right now, the Eagles are the top team in the NFC, might be in the entire NFL. I would say the entire NFL. I mean, you look at the two Titans,
yeah, the
Bills
Chiefs
picked off the Chiefs.
The only one I would exclude are those two. But you're right, Barry.
Yeah,
You're certainly right in the NFC. You keep watching teams week in and week out. Green Bay. Minnesota all of a sudden is 5-1, by the way. Just sort of stuck up on it. And the only loss is
Giants too.
But Minnesota, I think Minnesota's a fraud.
Because
that's 3 straight weeks, they've had to rally to beat teams they should have handled. I'm still not sold on Minnesota yet.
Right.
You are what your record says you are.
But the point is, Niners lose yesterday. Packers lose again, second straight week.
Yep.
They lose
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay loses to a bad Pittsburgh team. The Rams have looked wholly unimpressive. The Cardinals lose to the Seahawks. The Eagles have managed each and every week to not fall into that trap that a lot of these other teams fall into, where they just don't show up on any given Sunday. They've shown up every single game.
Yep. They're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe.
They're not.
You know what I'm saying? And it's great that stuff is happening around them, so they see that. They understand that you can get beat any given Sunday. You look at their record, and look at the rest look at the schedule. They could really be 11-0. They could literally be 11-0 going into the teams they have to play. They got that Steeler team next. Come on, man. And they're coming off of a bye week.
Right.
So
and they're probably as healthy, if not more healthy, than any team in the league. You're going to get an extra week to let Lane, heal up. And we know concussions, you never quite know. They're very serious. But some of the other guys who were banged up.
Dickerson, get whatever ails him down. Kelsey, he needs to spend some time in that. He'll do it. All these guys will do it. They'll be, there's no going anywhere with them. They're going to be right there getting treatment, making sure they're getting their bodies healthy, because this is where you're going. This is where you get into play. This is playoff football. You know what I'm saying? From this point on, you're jockeying for position on whether you're going to play the first week or you're going to have that week off. You know what I'm saying? It just gives you, an extra game in which you don't have to play, that you're going to be advanced in the playoffs. Yep. So you're jockeying for it right now.
That's exactly what you're doing. And in a good way, the teams in the NFC East are keeping heat on you. With the Giants keep winning, man, they're right. They're only one game behind you right now. And the Cowboys, once they get Dak back, are probably going to look like a different team. Offensively, Cooper Rush got exposed to an extent last night. But nonetheless, it's gotten very, very interesting here. And the Eagles are a team that when they have to have that drive, they're able to put that drive together. And you saw it last night, and they leaned heavily on the run. Was it 11 out of 13 plays, runs? When they
last minute to score. Yeah. The score, it was out of the 13 plays to go to that touchdown. They ran 13 plays, and 10 of those were runs. You know what I'm saying? If you have anything negative to say about it, that once again we get off our beaten path and start passing the ball too much. And when you look at it, I was talking to Rube last night, and Rube was like, well, they got off on it because they couldn't run. Well, there's no such thing as you can't run the ball. You're not going to break it for 15 or 8 or 5 every single time you run the ball. You're gonna take a loss here. You'll have a 3-yard run, but you got to stay consistent with it. You got to keep going, because running the ball is the war of attrition. And as you noticed in the first half, in the second quarter, when they started really scoring, they started getting that defense tired by running the ball.
Yeah,
they came back out in the second half. Then they started passing the ball. I was like, you can't do that, because now you're in their type of game. They want to rush the passer. That's what they're best at. and you're putting yourself in a compromised position, even though you have the receivers that you have. When you have a right tackle, that Driscoll, I don't necessarily think he'll lose you a game, but he's definitely not a Lane Johnson that he can win a game for.
Well, that's the problem, Barrett. Like he I don't know what he is exactly, but you're falling off from arguably the best right tackle in football. I mean, you just look at the numbers with Parsons when Lane Johnson was in there, and Parsons when he wasn't in there. He did nothing when Lane Johnson was in there, and he wreaked havoc when he was out. And they picked on Driscoll every single time.
He's a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. That's obvious. They had him on the left side last week. He was getting exposed in a pass blocking game. Same thing happened again yesterday. But, his forte is driving straight ahead, getting off the ball, getting to a spot, walling off, defenders. You know what he is? That's why he's a second and third string offensive lineman in the National Football League. He serves a purpose, but he's not going to be – you're never going to compare him to a Pro Bowl or a Pro Bowl in the making type offensive lineman. He's good enough to get the job done in this scheme, in situations. But, you're right. There's a far drop-off from Lane Johnson when you're talking about a Jack Driscoll.
Yeah, but look, nonetheless, I mean, they win last night. They're able to take care of their business and go into a bye week and beat the Cowboys, who had, psychologically had their number. And the Phillies knock off a team that won the World Series last year that owned them towards the end of the regular season. I mean, there were just so many. That I don't know where you guys were. We were at our remote at Jeff D'Ambrosio Dodge in Downingtown, which was great on Friday. And thanks to everybody who came out. But got home in time to watch the game. And that moment when Hoskins hit the home run and slammed the bat down, it felt like a monkey coming off his back, and like the whole Delaware Valley would have reacted the same exact way with just euphoria. It was that kind of symbolic moment. It really was.
I think that was the defining moment of the whole weekend with the Phillies, because he had heard all the criticism. He was 0 for everything. And, I'm not a big fan of when hitters hit a home run and make all these gestures and dancing and pointing and all that stuff. But I thought that was a signature moment when it was just finally, that albatross is off my chest, and the place just erupted, and from there, it was all uphill for the Phillies from there. Atlanta had no counter for him whatsoever. That'll be one of the great sports moments. 10 years from now, when you ask people about that, that's one of those signature moments that people will talk about. Not just that he hit the home run to finally get out of this funk, but his exclamation point to the home run that really just stoked that crowd.
And every run has signature moments along the way. You go back to the Phillies in 2008, Matt Stairs hits that home run in Los Angeles, which everybody remembers. Chase Utley pump fake and then throws home. Like, there are moments that you remember in runs. The Eagles had tons of them during the regular season. The Elliott 61-yard field goal. The game in LA.
Run.
Yeah, LeGarrette Blount, exactly. Like LeGarrette Blount in LA when they just milk clock and just, basically squeeze that out. The Vikings game with the Patrick Robinson interception. Like, there's moments along the way that you remember. That home run by Hoskins, certainly one of them. I think the inside the Parker on Saturday by Real Muto is another one of them. Maybe Gene Segura's hit in game 1 in the 9th inning in St. Louis, which maybe turned the whole playoffs around for them. Like, all of these things are just memory. There's in the bank now that you're going to remember. No matter what, you're going to remember. But if this team wins a World Series, especially, you're going to go back to each and every one of those moments.
No question about that. No question.
When it comes to baseball, I find it is somewhat shocking that all three teams that won 100 games in the National League are now sitting home.
Right.
You had the Braves, who are the defending champions, the Dodgers with the best record in baseball, and they're all sitting at home now. And these two red-hot wild card teams are about to collide in a 7-game series for the right to go to the World Series. And you look at how they both got to this point. It's amazing. They just caught fire at the right time, and they're just hitting on all cylinders. Their pitching has been outstanding in crucial situations. This is going to be a really good series.
It really is. And if you look at it during the regular season, Phillies beat them 4-3. They lost 2 or 3 here in Philadelphia, and they won 3 or 4 out there in San Diego. It is very close. It is a very tight. Let me show you a loser comment here. This is notice the star. So that's the first sign that we have a loser here. Y'all beat a backup quarterback. Now y'all think you accomplished something. Well, first of all, your backup quarterback that you were puffing your chest out about had won 4 in a row, and you weren't saying that then, number one. Number two, the only time your defense did anything is when the backup right tackle was in there when Lane Johnson was out. Everybody, William, goes through injuries in the NFL. To use them as an excuse, as you are, is the typical cowboy loser mentality, and which you have, which the organization has, which all of your people have. So I just thought we would point that out. So instead of just being gracious and saying, hey, you got us, we'll play you next time, we'll see how it goes, you got to make excuses. You are a crybaby weasel. That's what you are. Anyway,
how about that? How about they won what, 12 games last year and got knocked out the same time we got knocked out?
Yes.
But yet they're supposed to be better than us.
1995, William. Last time you won. Last night, 1995. All right. So anyway, got that out of the way. But no, it really was an amazing atmosphere. How about last night? I mean, you had Meek Mill performing, you have Embiid, as we talked about, Mike Trout's there through the NBC broadcast. They had Bradley Cooper voice over the Open. Like, it was cool, man. And I'm with you, Barrett. I love seeing the crossover. Like Friday, Nick Sirianni, Howie, Jeffrey
at the baseball
Lurie.
game. Yep.
Yeah, at the baseball game, supporting the team. Tyrese Maxey was at the Flyers game. Like, I love that stuff, man.
Exactly. Showing support within the sports like that. You want that. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, when I was playing with the Steelers, I always saw, guys going to the game. Lemieux came to a bunch of games.
Right.
You see P. Diddy and Snoop at the games. You see people coming and supporting your product. Number one, that means you're doing pretty good. You know what I'm saying? And number two, man, it just helps out. You know what I'm saying? It just helps out with everything that comes with, the city and how, we're not just this bad fan base. We're a fan base that loves our sports, period. We just love our sports.
Yes. And what I really think happened on Friday and Saturday, particularly with the Phillies, let's face it, the fan base was in very much a wait and see mode with them. They weren't trusting that the Phillies were legitimate. And therefore, at the box office, they weren't killing it all year. I think the Phillies players themselves were like, oh my God, this is what it's like for Eagles games. This is what every Eagles game sounds like, where the decibel levels are through the roof. I think they were absolutely blown away. I really do. I think the players were beside themselves at how loud they were from first pitch to last pitch, because they were in on everything.
You have no idea what it is to be in front of a fan base that are just ravenous dogs that just want to just eat the opponent's heads off. And that's what you have here in Philly, man. They don't play, bro. They don't play. Because I've been a part of both sides of that situation. I won with them, lost with them, came back and beat them, came back and lost to them. And each time, I experienced what it is to see it from both sides of the fence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. You heard Harrison talk about it last night. They interviewed him. John Clark interviewed him. And he said, hey, it's nothing like coming into this city and playing this team when he was playing for the Patriots. He was like, you know what?
Yeah, Rodney, yeah.
The interaction, Rodney Harrison, he said the interaction that you get with the fans and, the back and forth. He said he loved that even more than sometimes playing on the field. The fact that he had to go out there and not just play against this team, but also could jaw jack with the fans and know that they were going to give it to him just as much he was going to give it to you. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's this is what you love about sports. Love this about sports.
Absolutely. And it's
we didn't even give the union any love. You got to give the union some love also. Don't forget about the union. I mean, it's like the perfect storm. And so I tell Philadelphia fans, soak up every moment of this. You never know when you may cross this road again, when you have the perfect storm. Whatever your sport is, whatever you like, it is happening for you right now. Yeah. And the Sixers haven't even started yet. No. And there's big expectations for that team. Soak up this moment, embrace it. It is a time in Philadelphia sports. I've been here over 25 years. And a lot of what I've heard is, why can't we have nice things? You hear that a lot. Why can't we just have nice things? When they have high expectations for teams let them down. except the 2017 Eagles. And now it's like every team has come into play. This is your reward for all the years of frustrations that you've had to endure.
Well said.
The gold standard. You got the gold standard, you know.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah,
because the last time Jeffrey Lurie said those words, it was rough going ever since they came out.
He said that. I'm talking about the last time I said it was in 2017.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's when I said it.
Absolutely.
You know,
that's when Lurie and Howie said it after they won the Super Bowl. This is our new gold standard.
Yeah,
so he said he didn't say gold standard. He said,
there's
the new norm. This is
the new norm. The new norm.
Yes. He said the new norm.
You got to be careful how you say that.
He used the word gold standard before, but you're
right.
Has
used it.
He did. He used that like 10 years ago.
And Vince Young with Dream Team. Yeah, we don't need to go any of those places.
Right,
that's not going to work. All right, so here's what we're going to do today. We're going to look back at how we got here at 6-0 when it comes to the Eagles coming up at 12:30. 1 o'clock, dig deep into the game itself. Barrett, I know you've already been breaking this thing down, so we will dig into that.
I've been watching film for the past hour and a half.
I love it. We're going to look at the matchups here with the Phillies and the Padres pitching matchups. I'll give you the schedule, some of the just seminal moments that happened over the weekend with that. Another crazy week in the NFL. I don't know how the Giants keep doing it, but they do. We'll dig into all of that. We got open talk with birthdays and some cool stuff from college football as well. We will do all of that. This is going to be 3 hours of absolute power that we are going to just shoot it right into your veins, because we're going to get you going on this Monday. If you're struggling a little bit, we will take care of you. That is for sure. Don't go anywhere. He's Barrett. He's Derek. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let's talk about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because look, finding that right person to trust your money with your hard-earned money for your future is really critical. I found the right person, and I want you to be with the right person as well. And that's Jim Murray from Principal Financial Group. Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, if you have a small business and you're looking to set up your employee benefits, that's another resource that Jim can help you with. I know I've personally entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollover with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be as well. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. You can also email him if you prefer that. Murray, MURRAY.Jim@principal.com, Murray.Jim@principal.com.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community, a sports roundup for the locals, and the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Since 1977 at Rafferty Subaru, we have always been about our customers and the community. Early on, a safe and durable option, we've evolved to become the best overall brand according to Kelley Blue Book. Over the last 14 years, we've donated thousands of dollars through the Subaru Share the Love event and found homes for hundreds of pets. The Rafferty family is proud of our 45 years in business. This month, celebrate our anniversary with special financing on select models. Visit us and see why.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
What is up on this Monday? We are Sports Day, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's go, baby. Rob Ellis, Derek Gunn, in Barrett's chair, hanging out with you on this beautiful day in the neighborhood as Philadelphia sports is dominating right now, including the Eagles. All right, guys, so here's the question. 6-0 right now. 6-0, undefeated, the lone undefeated team in football. You want to hear something that's crazy? When you look at the NFC in particular, okay? Look at the NFC. You have the Eagles at 6-0, right? Other than that, I'm talking about just teams over 500. Giants, Cowboys, Vikings. That's it. Everybody else is 500 or below. Giants, Cowboys, Vikings. That's it. Your top team in the South is 3-3. Your top team in the West is 3-3. Excluding the Vikings, it's the Packers at 3-3. So what the Eagles are doing thus far is not easy. Okay, what they have been able to do thus far is not easy. So here's the question I have for you guys. You take a step back for a minute and you look at how we got here at 6-0. And I'll start with this. I'll start with the offseason. You're talking about a team that went out and got A.J. Brown, James Bradbury, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Hassan Reddick, Kaiser White, and they drafted Jordan Davis, among others. But just to name a few. And basically every single – and I know Jordan Davis hasn't exactly blown up, but every single one of those guys is either making a massive impact or a big impact for you. Howie is doing what Reese Hoskins did, okay, and hitting balls out of the park, and it's paid big dividends.
It's incredible that, he was able to bring in. I mean, look at what Kaiser White did yesterday. He was the man yesterday.
Yep.
He stepped up, played explosive, always around the ball, in the pass, in the run. He has done everything that you want from that weak side linebacker. And, TJ Edwards being able to go out there and also be a hammer, you know what I'm saying, instead of the nail. Those are things we don't even look at.
14 tackles last night, Barrett.
Right. I mean, undrafted TJ Edwards.
Yep.
Undrafted. Kaiser White, former safety, now will linebacker. You look at Davis in the middle of that defense. When he was on the field, you could not run on him. You couldn't run on him. Every time he's off the field, that's when they gained that yardage. You look at, the mere fact that C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he comes out, 2 interceptions. Bradbury tips a pass for one of the interceptions. It's just amazing on how well they brought players in. First-year players have come in, with the exception of T.J. Edwards. First-year guys in this system have come in and been totally key on how this team is winning. They play together. And you hear it, man. You hear it. And say what you want to say about Hurts. Hurts has everybody talking like a coach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, after the moving finger rights, it moves on.
Yes.
You take that deuce, you flush it, you on. Rat poison. We left it on the field. I mean, all that stuff is stuff that he
left money on the table. Yeah, he's
money on the table.
He's never satisfied. I love him. He's relentless because he's never satisfied. And I never feel like he's just saying it to say it. Like, I believe in his bones, in his heart, that he believes everything that he's saying. I truly believe the guy is sincere across the board. How about you, Derek?
I'm curious as to how as I sit here today, how he's still able to get all these guys under the salary cap that he brought in. By far, he had the best offseason of any team in the National Football League. And we sat here saying, oh, there's no way they can do this. They're cap strapped. They can't do this. This guy knows how to move dollars and cents around like nobody else in the league. And, at some point, and I would love to get him on, because we all thought they were building for something that would be expressive in 2023. And then all of a sudden the script was flipped and he identified something and said, you know what, we can do damage now. I would love to get him on and ask him, at what point did you realize that what you assembled, if you were able to make 2 or 3 more strategic moves, that you could do a lot of damage now? I think that's a great insight on his part. We look at what they did with the Dream Team and how they just blew up on them. And here we are, what was that, 10 years ago maybe?
Yeah,
and now 10 years later, it's very similar. is very similar to what he did back then with much better results. Very similar to what he did in 2017 when he brought all these high price, high name athletes in. It paid off incredible dividends beyond anybody's wildest expectations. And here we are in 2022, and he's doing the same thing again. This team has.
If you asked him, he would come on. I bet since this is the bye week, I bet if you asked him, he'd come on.
D-Gun.
I doubt that, because you got to run interference. See, I text him and ask him, and his standard line is, you know what? Check with the PR staff.
The PR staff likes us.
Oh, they do. Oh, they do. Yeah, but they do. But they also know that when Howie says that, that's an MO for.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, because the response to get is, hey, D-Gun, we love you guys, but because we've had requests from 10 other people, it's not fair to the 10 other people if we give them to you and then we got to answer to them. You can't argue with that. It frustrates you, but you can't argue with that. I mean, that's the standard line that you're going to get. So I'm thinking, you know, I can always throw a shot in the dark, but I already know the answer I'm going to get. But, you know, I'll put it out there.
Talk during the season anyways.
No, he doesn't. No.
Here's what I'm
he's probably out of town by now.
Yeah, right. What I'm fascinated by, this was sort of a slow play. We actually talked about this last week. If you remember the beginning of the like free agency started, and it was kind of slow. I think they signed Kaiser White, but we were sort of like, I don't know, are they going all in or are they not going all in, right? And then when we got to draft night and he made the trade for AJ Brown, I felt like everything started to shift after that trade happened. And then I felt like momentum really started to pick up. And that's when you really started to see these things happen. Like Bradbury happened. Maybe Reddick had happened at that point. But, you know what I'm saying? Like the momentum started to pick up. And then he pulled one of his patented right before the season start moves to get Gardner Johnson, which we saw him do in 17, by the way. So there are similarities there. But I felt like, I don't know, he took more of a patient approach. Like I think he knew the Giants were going to cut Bradbury, and you know he could sell that and to him to come here. I mean, that might be the biggest steal of the offseason in the NFL. The way that guy's playing for what you're paying him,
bro, unbelievable.
It's unreal.
Unbelievable. I know the Giants right now are kicking themselves in the butt right now for that, bro. Bradbury is playing.
If Dable was like, dude, if I could get him in Wink Martindale's defense, what that would look like.
Oh my goodness, you know, and one of the corners isn't playing right now. I mean, they're still Dory Jackson, and they're still balling out.
Yeah,
you know, this is to me is crazy that he was able to as soon as he got the AJ Brown trade, it flipped the switch, because not only did they bring in an impact player, a player that can always go out there and get you a first down on a slant, but they got a guy that Jalen Hurts trusts, and that trust is moved throughout the team now. That trust that he has in Smitty, that trust that he has in Dallas Goedert, that trust that he has in Quez Watkins. He didn't necessarily have that before when he was throwing to guys like, you know, Jalen Reagor, or even Ward. Mm-hmm. He didn't have that type of trust with those guys. We're talking about guys now that are 1A and 1 in this offense. You know, so I mean, this is something, you know, that I cannot believe, man. In fact, you know, even trading Ertz, understanding that Dallas Goedert is ready to take that next step into being one of the premier tight ends in the league. He traded him last year. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'd have did that, because this team was, you know, since they didn't have receivers, they relied a lot on 12 personnel. But I understand why he did it. He did that because they couldn't open the offense up with just those two guys. He needed receivers out there that can go out and move the ball, be able to be impact players on the outside. You couldn't just stay in 12 personnel. It was a necessity back then because we didn't have any receivers, but now he's starting to get receivers. He's opened it up a whole hell of a lot.
I'd like to know what Howie's sales pitch was to get like a Bradbury in here, whose base pay is $1,035,000 with a prorated of $1.243 million. Okay, there are a lot of teams out there that identify James Bradbury as a good piece to what we're trying to do, yet he comes to Philadelphia. You look at Kazir White, same base pay as Bradbury, $1,035,000 base pay for a linebacker who's considered across the league a good linebacker and an impactful linebacker. He's got a prorated of where is it? His pro rate is $293,000. He could have made a lot more money somewhere else. So what was the selling pitch to get these guys to come here? Now, Hassan Reddick, we know, is from Philadelphia. So obviously he wanted to come home, and he got paid a decent buck, you know. But these other guys, they could have had their pick of the litter in terms of where they wanted to go. So
I got an idea, Derek. Maybe Bradbury was Slay. I'm going to go play alongside Darius Slay. Sign me up, man. Yeah. You know, I know I can still play. And guess what? I'm going to play the Giants twice a year. And I'm going to stick it, you know, where the sun don't shine to them.
That's a good analogy, and I don't disagree with it. But what is Bradbury, like 28 years old now?
29,
so
I think.
29. Okay, so he's at that point where I'm at a point where my money, in terms of how much money I can garner, I'm at that age now, that 29, 30 threshold, where my numbers could decline in terms of money I could make. Yeah. You know, in a game where all of your money's not guaranteed, unlike the other two big sports. And, you know, you see the other two big sports, basketball and baseball, you know, these guys are still getting mega contracts at 31, 33, 34 years old. You know, and football players, a lot of times the numbers decline. So there had to be, you know, and maybe Slay is his boy. He wanted to play with Slay. Maybe he wanted to get back at the Giants. But from the financial standpoint, football players being football players, there's also a monetary gain that you have to look at, because you're never going to see that money again if you don't jump on it now. So I think that's fascinating in itself, that you got two impactful players like that to come here at bargain basement prices.
I give you an argument even better than that. Howie says, look at my track record. Look at all the guys I brought in and when they had great seasons, see how I treated them. Look at Alshon Jeffrey. I gave him a contract. You know, look at guys that I brought in. And you bring in, I'm going to put you on a prove it deal. You prove that you belong here, I'll sign you. Timmy Jernigan, sign him to a long deal. You know, he's done that, and guys that have shown him, he's signed them. So I think that's the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that he's done. You prove you belong here, he's going to sign you to some big money. And I think that's a lot of the reason why these guys are showing up and coming to the Eagles organization. At that end, the gold standard. I mean, the Eagles are always in the mix. They have been in the mix for the past, since 2002.
Yeah, if they have a down year, they're rebounding real fast. Like you're not going to be buried like you are in some other organizations. Let me throw one more out there, Barry. You tell me if this goes on among players. I don't know. Maybe there's a recruiting pitch. Maybe Jalen Hurts, who we all know is so compelling. Maybe
without a doubt, yeah.
Right, we know it with AJ Brown for sure, but I'm saying maybe even some of the other guys, or maybe you go back to some of the guys from 17. Hey, Chris Long, what was it like for you for your 2 years here? And he tells you, man, it was insane. And Chris Long, he spent the bulk of his career in St. Louis. He cherishes his time in Philly even more than anywhere else he played, and he won one in New England, by the way. So maybe some of that's coming into play as well. I don't know.
Even Alshon is still around here. Did you guys know that?
I didn't know that.
Alshon is still around here doing some work around here, opening businesses. I mean, he's done, a lot of, work around. So he stays around here. A lot of those guys that, that play here, stay here. Me, I even stayed here. Mm-hmm. Because to me, the city, once it embraces you, it embraces you. You want to be around, man. You want to be around. And that's just what Philly does, man. So, yeah, the allure Howie has with free agents comes from pretty much if you prove you belong here, he's going to make sure you be around here a long time.
All right, so level 1 is off-season moves. Level 2 is the quarterback's a heck of a lot better than he was last year, right? And I know the numbers last night aren't going to blow you away, and he's not going to put up like Mahomes, Josh Allen throwing numbers, but that's not what he needs to do for this team to win. But the command, there was a play early in the game that he audibles out of. I don't know if you guys remember this in the first or second series, which he wouldn't have done last year. He audibled out and it ended up being a first down. It was just a really nice play. And Collinsworth during the game on the TV broadcast pointed it out, but it was something he maybe didn't see a ton of last year. There's just so much improvement. The game has slowed down for him. He has such a better understanding. He's got 1,500 yards passing. Again, not a ton of touchdowns, but the completion percentage is up to 66.8. He's found the end zone 12 times, either with his arm or his legs in 6 games. So he's basically averaging 2 touchdowns per game. However you get there, he's getting in the end zone twice. Like, he's a way better player than he was last year.
and his ability to throw the ball down the field. That used to be something that everybody's like, oh, he can't throw the ball. We won't have a passing game with him. His mental capacity to go to his first, second, and third reads is not there.
Right.
Looks like he's doing it to me.
Yeah, exactly right.
Looking like
he can't roll to his left and throw. Oh, really? Okay, I've seen that a bunch of times this year. He can't work the middle of the field. Not really. So you can kind of put a lot of this stuff away now, with Malin, as far as I'm concerned. But you're just seeing a guy who is in a system for the second straight year. For the first time since he played for his dad in high school, he's got the same system and the same coordinator, because he had a lot of turnover at Alabama. He had you guys realize Dable was there when he was at Alabama for a minute?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, it was really good coaching, like Lane Kiffin, Dable, et cetera, but it was a lot of turnovers because guys were taking jobs. So he's finally in a comfort zone, I think. And let's give some props to Shane Steichen. If I had one beef, I think they got away from the run.
Sarkisian also. That's right. Sarkisian.
He had Sarkisian too at Alabama. He got away from the running game a little bit too much for my liking in Arizona, but for the most part, I think he's really keeping defenses off balance. Steichen's done a nice job with him.
Well, you know what? It's not just what he does in the pass game that's making him a good, quarterback. Me and Josh talk about this all the time. Sometimes cerebrally, how he breaks down a team, even with the read option. And Sirianni talked about it yesterday in the read option. All right, if you can't beat a guy, you can't block a guy, option off the guy. And his ability to run the read option is it's to another level now. Mm-hmm. Whether he's going to keep it, whether he's going to give it, all those things you see, right there is prevalent. He has to read those plays in order for the play to even work. And you can tell his progression in it has become, it's unbelievable. Just like, the touchdown pass to Smitty. It was a run pass option.
Yes.
But it was run out of play action. Not really play action. They could have shoveled the ball, should have handed the ball off, or he threw the pass, or he could keep running. That was like a 3 or 4 part play in which he could take 4 things that he could do and beat that team.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man.
It really is. And you're right, Barrett. He's got a great feel, for when to ride, when to hide, like when to hand it off, when to keep it himself, in the run game, because that's a big part of what they do. It's not just decision-making in the passing game.
Right.
He's got a really good sense for that. And he's just really, growing, which is, by the way, what you would expect for a guy in his second full year as a starter. You're not going to be perfect your first year. So there are some exceptions where guys can step right in the league and look awesome. But most guys need a couple of years. Josh Allen needed a couple of years. They needed to get him Stephon Diggs. So you've now given Hurts a little bit of time, and you've given him A.J. Brown to go with Devontae Smith. It's that combination, along with the continuity, I think that is, made him who he is.
I think overall, when I look at Shane Steichen, the way he calls a play, calls it a game, first of all, he asserts himself in terms of what he wants to do. Then it's like pick and choose to see, okay, what's going to work. And then all of a sudden, okay, we take off. 2 consecutive games now that we have had similar starts, similar middles, and similar finishes. They assert themselves early on. They go through that lull period. And then by the time the game's in crunch time, it's like, okay, let's turn it up again, Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great attribute. And that's why I said a couple of weeks ago, everybody's talking about Gannon being a guy that is going to be the next head coach when the next wave comes out. I think Shane Steichen is going to get a head coaching job before Gannon will. They've won games 6 different ways. Yeah. It's 6 different ways they've won games this season. And I think his ability to call game, we're in a league where all they're looking for is a new offensive mind, a new great offensive mind. And I think Shane Steichen is showing that he has that ability. One of the best things Nick Sirianni did was turn the reins over to Shane and let him call the games to show what he's capable of doing. That's taking a huge pressure off Sirianni in terms of all the stuff that goes on the sideline. He's got a guy who's not just the second in command, but thinks like him. Who knows? Who may run the offense? Who may have a better grasp of what Nick Sirianni's offense should look like, more so than Nick Sirianni.
Well, and Derek allows Nick to all right, I'm not liking something here on defense. Let me get over here and I can concentrate on that a little bit or deal with the special teams or what, some guy individually where I'm not just bogged down in my chart. And it takes a certain kind of security in yourself on your first year when you're supposed to be the offensive guru to hand it off.
Right.
In an ego-driven field like head coaching in the NFL, to do that, I think says a little bit about Nick Sirianni as a person and as a guy. But yeah, I agree with, because the league's so in love with offense. Steichen may surpass Gannon in terms of a candidate for head coach. It's not out of the question.
Right. I mean, look at what's going on up in Denver right now. They can't get it right. They brought in an offensive assistant, and they still can't get it right, man.
Yeah.
It's for Nick to be confident enough in himself to hand over the reins. That's and you saw, I seen one other guy do that, and that was Andy Reid.
Right.
Reid did that for a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he's shown that he's doing it now with Eric Bieniemy. But I mean, that's what this game is all about, man. Understanding, your inequities and bringing somebody in who can be a stronger. Sometimes when you're the strongest person in the room, the smartest person in the room, you need to get out that room, bring some other smarter people in. You always got to be learning.
That's a Krause quote. You're working right there.
Right.
I like that. All right. So the other aspect where they have massively improved from last year, they now have 14 takeaways, guys. They are a plus 12 turnover ratio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No one is even close to that number. No one. I mean, they are dwarfing and just running away with it in terms of anybody else. The numbers are really amazing when you think about it, what they've been able to do in terms of that category. 14 takeaways, plus 12 turnover differential, first in the NFL. First in the NFL. This is a team that didn't create turnovers and didn't sack the quarterback last year. And defensively, yes, would you like to have gotten a couple sacks last night? Sure. But did they impact Cooper Rush? You darn right they did. And that's one of the reasons why he threw 3 picks. I mean, they are making an impact.
Well, what did they get? 10? They got 10 points off of turnovers last night.
One was a direct off a pick, and the other one was off the turnover on downs.
Yeah,
which
and I tell you what, they needed every bit of those points off the turnovers in a game of this magnitude. But you know what? It's a defining part of the game. The better defenses help generate offense, plain and simple. You look at how many good offenses out there, but they don't get the defensive help that they need to put teams away. This defense has stepped up in so many ways. It may not be a perfect defense, and by the way, you can have the Gannon bandwagon. I'm telling you right now, you can have it. You can have the bandwagon.
Don't get off, Derek.
I'm done. I'm done. Now, after
it's not
watching
flying
last night,
down the highway.
After watching last night,
we're like in a school zone. It's kind of going about.
After
15.
watching last night, they had 3 turnovers.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, they had
17 points allowed.
Yes, I get that, but his scheme still drives me nuts.
Jim Johnson's magic number, Derek. 17.
His scheme drives me nuts. His scheme still drives me nuts.
All right, so you want Quinn. You want Quinn in his defense as opposed to.
I didn't say I want. I'm not saying I want anybody. We're talking just about the bandwagon. I'm just saying I expect him. I'm tired of this 4-man rush. The moment was too big for Cooper Rush. The first half, it was too big. All right,
you know
why?
He got
all these accolades because he was in Philadelphia. He had not played in a stadium of this magnitude. Had not played in a game of this magnitude. He had not had to face a fan base like Philadelphia before. He had a nice story going, and the moment was too big for him in the first half of that game. And I'm sitting there going, why are you not blitzing? Why are you not blitzing this kid all night? Why are you this 4-man rush crap? And sure enough, in the second half, Kellen Moore identified the soft spots, and they chipped their way back in the game. And I just don't get, why is he playing different schemes every game? And it keeps resonating when he said last year, I don't have a scheme, I have a philosophy. Well, maybe you should have a scheme instead of a philosophy. Maybe you should have that.
I just care about how many points they give up.
And that's that. In the first half, if you look at the reps, look at all the reps that you see Davis in, the 5-man front. This is a team that loves to run the ball. Mm-hmm. So you stop the run with the 5-man front. They got them in second and long, third and long, and it worked out perfect for them.
Mm-hmm.
They were down by 17, came out the second quarter. So they stopped with the, with the heavy run game and brought out 11 personnel, which made them go to a 4-man front. You couldn't keep the 3-man front in there. And that's when they started running a rock on them. You know what I'm saying? They started running the rock then.
Yes.
And they couldn't stop it with the 4-man front.
Yes.
He goes back to that 5-man front, and they start stopping them. And then by that time, it was over because, the Eagles had scored another touchdown. But I see what you're saying, but he still is able to go out there and create turnovers with what he had out there, bro.
Right.
You can have the Gannon bandwagon until further notice.
I'm good.
Instead of hanging off by 2 hands like I was a couple of weeks ago, I got 1 hand on the rail and I'm sailing in the wind right now.
All right, so I'll take Derek. I'll take 17.5 points per game, which they're allowing, which is 6th best.
I don't disagree.
Okay,
and twice on Sunday.
I don't disagree.
It's not Jim Johnson aggression. It's not old school Buddy Ryan aggression. I get it. I know that can frustrate people sometimes, but they're not allowing a lot of points. Which,
no, they're not. Nope.
At the end of and they're taking the ball away, which is huge. So, and look, his 2 objectives, we know this. Don't give up big plays, which they don't, and take the ball away, which they're doing.
They have great defensive personnel. I give them that 10 days out of 10. You get the one interception off a deflection. You get the other interception off a great play from Brandon Graham. It was similar to what he did in the Super Bowl to Tom Brady. Hits the arm, in the quarterback's arm. Boom. Right. C.J. Johnson, who we thought was done, especially the way he walked off the field. I thought it was a pec injury.
That did
they
not
were talking about a hand. No.
Ooh.
The way he started pointing to his arm, I'm thinking, man, this dude is done. That's a peck for sure. He comes back and seals the deal for him in that regard. There's no question about it. You got great athleticism, interchangeable parts. I just said I don't like your scheme. That's my prerogative. I don't like Gannon's scheme.
It's not your prerogative.
That is my prerogative.
No, you can't do that. No.
I'm sorry.
You're Bobby Brown. I get it. You're Bobby Brown.
That's my part. That's right. You're right. I used to be able to dance like Bobby. Not anymore, but
do you have the Gumby haircut too? Did you have were you
heck no. No, we didn't do the Gumby thing. No. I had the Lincoln Hayes Mod Squad afro back then. No.
You did. No. You did have that. I've seen that picture. All right. So when we come back, we'll dive a little bit more into the way this game went down. All right, we'll X and O this thing. Barrett's been all over this. Just what the Eagles did offensively, defensively, some concerns. Look, this isn't perfect, right? Nobody's saying it is. There's some things that need to get cleaned up. There's some things you love, some things could bite you in the rear end as the season goes forward. So we'll dig into all of those kind of things. 1:30, we're going to be talking Phillies. 2 o'clock, NFL. We'll go around the league. And, of course, Open Talk to close it out. Don't go anywhere. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let's talk about Pro Action Restoration. Pro Action Restoration will be there. We'll be at your beck and call if your home, your business, your property experiences any kind of water, fire, smoke, mold damage, whatever the case may be. They're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. Pro Action is an amazing place. They were down in Florida taking care of Hurricane Ian victims. I've been a part of this thing when my parents' house got flooded. The basement did. They didn't know what to do. I called them on a Saturday. They got right over. The crew was professional, clean. The price was reasonable. Pro Action Restoration is licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company. And again, it could be any of the above: water, fire, smoke, mold remediation. You name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or you could reach out online at proactionrestoration.com, proactionrestoration.com.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says yes, you can. Jeff says yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say no, you can't, Jeff says yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Over the last 17 years, we've built a reputation of growing award-winning teams across the country. Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
What's up, everybody? Great hanging out with you on this Monday, as the Eagles win, the Phillies win, everybody's winning. It's a beautiful thing. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis. So how we holding up, boys? It was a long night, quick turnaround. We okay? We all right?
Definitely
I'm
a quick
good.
turnaround.
Well, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Just making sure everybody's good. Everybody good in the chat section. Hope you're well as well. We appreciate you guys. Hey, let's hit that like button today. Let's go after the like button, like the Eagles went after the Cowboys, like the Phillies went after the Braves. Let's slam that bad. But we haven't had a good like slam in a while. So let's smash it.
Right.
Let's obliterate the like button today.
You need to give them another challenge. That's what you need. You want them to smash the like button? You need to offer them another challenge.
I think we're all still in my gritty recovery. By the way, I love Gesicki. Did you guys see Mike Gesicki yesterday? He did the gritty, and then after the game was over, did you see this? It was pretty funny. He and Justin Jefferson were, just talking after the game, congratulating each other, whatever. And he's like, "Man, you and I are the two best guys in the league doing the gritty." That's what Gesicki said to Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was like, "All right, man, if you say so, dude. All right." But anyway, it was pretty funny. I thought it was a pretty funny moment. So the Eagles win last night, 26-17 over the Cowboys. Now, correct me if you've heard this before. Eagles jump out to a big lead. In fact, they get out to a 20-0 lead. They put up a 20 spot in the second quarter. They scored in the first play of the second quarter, put up 20. They have been ridiculous in the second quarter this year. I mean, the scoring, they've outscored their opponents, guys, in the second quarter, 112-27.
That's
112.
That's insane.
27. Yeah, pretty amazing, right? So same old. But flip side of that is third quarter, there's a slowdown. I don't know what happens there. I don't know what is up with that. I thought they started to kind of move out of that a little bit, but not necessarily. And then the Cowboys make a run. And then when it really starts to get hairy and it's 20-17 at that point, that's when the Eagles said, you know what, we're going to put this thing out of reach. And this is what was really impressive. It would, for me, that just stands out at what they were able to do. So they go on a 13-play drive in which, they are just pounding the ball. And I'm trying to give you the exact numbers here because I, chart every play like a lunatic. Yeah. But they go on a 13-play, 75-yard drive that eats up 7:37 of the clock in the fourth quarter. They take over with 14:39 left, and they knock off, they knock it down to almost 7 minutes. By that time, the Cowboys are down 9 because the Eagles didn't get the 2-point conversion. Just like we saw in Arizona, it resulted in a field goal in Arizona, this time a touchdown for the Eagles. So we've seen this pattern before, but they did enough to win the game.
What about that, man? Well, look at that. That's a hell of an ace to have in your back pocket, man. You know what I'm saying? That you can always pull that out, and all else fails, run the rock and win a game. Because, that's demoralizing for a defense. Everybody in that stadium knew that they were going to do it. Everybody on that Dallas sideline knew that they were going to do it, and they did it anyways.
Yep.
To be able to run the ball and not have a way to stop it, man, it just eats defensive players up in the inside. You know what I'm saying? That's why you saw Diggs just take his helmet off and slam it.
Yep.
Because there's nothing he could do. He's got to go out there and cover. He's not worried about stopping a run, and nothing he can do about it. Nothing. You know what I mean?
Well,
and
well
it's
said.
like pick your poison. You on the touchdown to Smitty, nothing they could do to stop that play, to stop the run. He could have ran it in. He could have handed it off, and he threw it to Smitty. That's just great.
It is. Barrett, you're right. And to have that ability to run in your back pocket whenever you need it, because not only does it get you down the field, it eats clock. So it's a double whammy of killing the opponent, and you wear them down. They were exhausted by the end of that drive. The Cowboys, the Varner Cowboys defense, because you pounded them, and you pounded them, by the way, without Lane in there.
Exactly.
So that's the other impressive part about that drive, which the way that they were able to finish it off. And by the way, let me just throw this out there. We get right back to the Eagles talk. According to Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, the Arizona Cardinals have traded for former Panthers receiver Robbie Anderson. No surprise there with the way things played out on the sideline that Anderson wasn't going to be long for Carolina. But anyway, just wanted to pass that along. Go ahead, Derek.
Good pickup for him.
Yeah.
That's a really good pickup for him.
Well, they need any kind of jolt that they can get, man, at this point. And so they get DeAndre Hopkins back this week, right? He served his 6 games. So
6 games, yeah.
You can throw those two guys together. It's not bad.
How can that team play so well against the Eagles and play so bad yesterday
Poorly
against
coached?
that opponent?
I don't think they're well coached.
Unbelievable.
I'm not a Kingsbury guy. I don't like him.
Yeah, I'm not either. The fact that he still has a job still amazes me. But that is a good pickup for them, because you put him on one side and you have DeAndre Hopkins on the other side. That's going to help Kyler Murray in that offense.
Rondale Moore in the middle in the slot.
Rondale Moore in the middle.
You got some weapons. Yeah,
James
Kyler
Conner.
Murray doesn't have a lot of excuses. You got
Hollywood.
Yeah, you got Hollywood. Oh my goodness, Hollywood Brown. You got James Conner, and then the kid who's emerging, Eno Benjamin. For them. So that's going to help them. I don't know if it's going to save their season at this point, but that's going to help them tremendously
for sure.
You know why you get an Arizona team that plays as well against the Eagles, but doesn't play well the next week. You know why you get that?
Because they played their Super Bowl last week.
They get up for the Eagles.
There it is.
Yeah,
and that's going to be for the next. What? How many games they have? 12?
That's Barrett. Great point, because that's where you can't just do they're playing that team week, whatever. They're not that good. No, that team is going to give you everything they got.
Exactly. And they're going to get this from this point on.
Yep.
Everybody's best. They've got a target on their chest. That's both good and bad.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I was just thinking the
how
same
good
thing.
you are.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good. It's good because you are that team that everybody's talking about across the league. Everybody's looking at. Even if you're not an Eagles fan, you want to see. For the casual observer who doesn't get to see Philadelphia play that much, when you do get to see them play, you want to see what makes them this undefeated team. Why are they at the top of the hill more so than compared to other teams? The bad thing is when everybody plays their best against you, that's when the injuries start to pile up.
Right.
And as we see it now, this team's starting to get nicked up on its way to 6-0. They're starting to get nicked up a little bit. Luckily, they're still healthier than every team out there in the league. Thank goodness. Teams always talk about how they hate having a bye early in the season. They like to have that bye right in the middle of the season to give your body extended time to heal. They don't. But I think in the Eagles' case, this bye came at the perfect time for this team to let some of their key components heal up, because the next 11 weeks when they get back, it's going to be everybody's Super Bowl against this team.
Yep.
And you just have to cross your fingers that they can stay healthy, man. You know, Kelsey with the ankle injury. You know, now Lane Johnson concussion. We don't know exactly what Dickerson's injury is. We know it's a couple of things, but they're keeping that close to the vest in terms of what exactly it is. Where he's had to go in and out the last 2 games now.
Right.
So hopefully they can work on that. The trainers and the medical staff can work on that with modern technology and medicine. Get that thing right so he can hit the ground running for the last 11 games.
All right, let's talk about a couple things that need to be cleaned up, and this is not new. All right. Well, I'll get the special teams in a minute, but the inability to score in the third quarter is troubling. It hasn't hurt them so far, but it's definitely something that you have to keep your eye on because it's been a major problem for them really throughout the year. I think it's 17 points in 6 quarters, in 6 third quarters. Like, come on, man. You got to be able to figure this out. I'm not saying you got to explode. I know you're exploding in the second, but you got to be better than that.
It's like 14 in the first quarter, and then like the third and the fourth quarter are like it's like 17 and 18.
Yeah,
something really crazy that all the reports are being scored in the second quarter. I don't know what it is. Just I tell people all the time, I don't care what you call me, just as long as you call me. Well, I don't care what they score, just as long as they score. I don't care when, how, where. Let's just make it happen. Let's keep it going. But we also understand that whenever they needed it, they've been able to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
And you can't take that from them. And that's part of the reason why you always hear Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni talking about there's so much that we got to get better at. And they love to overcorrect everything they do.
Yeah.
They overcorrect. We didn't get AJ Brown enough catches. Excuse me. So we're going to make sure we make it an effort to do it in this game. And who was the first play went to who? He dropped it, but still it went to AJ Brown.
AJ, yeah.
They always last week we want to make a concerted effort to get Dallas Goedert involved in the game plan. What do? We go out and go and make sure he has the best game of his life. He just keeps on throwing it to him. Game before that, I think against Washington, we wanted to make sure we got Devontae Smith the ball. He has the game of his life. They overcorrect so much. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to run the ball against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We did it.
Right. So
that's just what they do. We don't tackle well. They go in, work on tackling, and they tackle like they've never tackled before. That's just what they do. They love to overcorrect. So when they say there's meat on the bone, there's plays left out on the field.
Money on the table.
Money on the table. They truly we're starting to talk like coaches now, right?
Yes. No, listen, you're right, Barrett. I mean, I agree with you. There's always stuff. And they realize that they can fix here. And that's going to be a point of emphasis. I think the other thing that has to be a point of emphasis, and I don't know if this is as easily correctable, is they're just not good on special teams. If you exclude Jake Elliott, and I know that's a big part of special teams. He's a really good kicker. Once again, and Derek, I'll give you props. You've been talking about this kid Turpin since the preseason. Okay.
Every time that kid got the ball last night, I'm holding my breath.
Don't let the kid get the ball. What am I missing?
Why would you kick the ball to that kid twice?
That kick return that set them up was a big swing in the game, man.
If he didn't have that big body in front of him and ran up his butt, that would have been a huge swing. He tripped over his own guy. He was taking that to the house. Yep. He almost broke one on a punt return.
Yeah, he did.
Why are you kicking it to him? Kick it out of bounds.
I don't get it. Like that's coaching. No, unless Sippos has no ability to freaking kick a ball out of bounds, which I think he does.
You're talking about Sippos.
Oh my
I don't like him either, Barrett. He's next.
Some of the strategy in today's game, I understand why they short kick. I understand it because they identify, some special teams identify it's better to kick it to them because we feel we can get them inside the 20 more so than just giving them the ball at the 25. But this dude, Kevontae Turpin, he's from another planet in terms of finding space to run through. First of all, he's a little wispy guy, 5'6", 165 pounds. But he runs a 4.2, 4.3 40. That should tell you in itself, don't kick this man the football.
I agree.
That play could have been huge for this guy.
Yeah.
For the Dallas Cowboys. Thank goodness he tripped over his own guy. But, I'm thinking, what do you think? The special teams is going to cost this team a game somewhere along the line. I just feel in my bones the special teams are going to kill them.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I wasn't concerned with it. I'll put it to you that way. They rarely ever get a decent, we're happy when Covey gets like an 8-yard return.
Bro,
you know what I mean? Like,
we were ecstatic, man. I'm like,
yeah,
like
he didn't get blown up this week. That's the solace, but it's not enough.
Right. It's getting so bad that WIP has a drop. Like, is there a Michael Clay sighting somewhere? Can we find him? Where is my little Clay gone? Where could he be? Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous that we're going through that special teams unit. I'm just not used to it.
Yeah,
I'm used to Phipps style
hardball.
Yeah, hardball. Those are the guys that made things happen at special teams.
Yeah,
he's not doing it, and I think he might be over his head a little bit, or I don't know. Whether
he's a young guy, and I don't know, and maybe they didn't give him enough talent, but I just don't. I know whatever it is, it's not good enough.
First of all, when was the last time you had a 27-year-old as the head of special teams? I had never heard of that before.
No, it's very young.
First of all, what did they identify in him where they felt that, okay, if you want to be the assistant special teams coordinator, that's one thing. But to give him total reins of special teams at 27 years of age, heck, you barely out of college. Yep. I mean, I'm looking at his bio. Special teams wasn't his claim to fame in college. So how did he elevate himself to the status of a special teams coordinator? Who did he know? And I don't get it. I just don't get it. And obviously
he was Barrett. He was like a real young guy then.
Yeah, he was Chip's
but the
guy.
inexperience is rearing its head now.
Oh, we know this. We get sightings of him in all the wrong times.
Yes.
When he's messing up. I just need more of an emphasis on special teams. I mean, if it takes going out there and getting somebody that can return footballs, I mean, we need that. Yeah. I mean, it's important. It's becoming more and more important as we go along. I mean, a lot of players that we've taken from special teams are now starters now. So somebody needs to fill that void. TJ Edwards was a good special teams guy.
Good point.
Guys like Epps was a special team,
right?
Guy.
Yeah, you've lost some of those guys.
Now.
Yeah. It's interesting though. Like some guy, like Malcolm Jenkins, always played special teams. Yep. Trotter for most of his career played special teams, no matter what.
Exactly.
Certain guys, and I get it. Coaches,
I did too.
Those guys hurt. Yeah,
I did too.
Well, let me ask you guys this then, because he just got on his podcast a few days ago and brought this up, and now people are starting to whisper. Would you bring Desean Jackson back?
Derek, no. I wouldn't. I don't think he can stay healthy.
No. Why? We got great chemistry.
As a returner, would you bring him back?
An old guy like that? I don't know. I know.
But that old guy can still run a 4.340. Yeah, I mean, you got a good nucleus of receivers as it is now. If you bring whoever brings Desean Jackson back is not bringing him back just to return.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to utilize that speed in some way on the outside as well. But would he pique your interest to bring him back? He would solve your problems in special teams. Also give you another burner on the outside. Would you do it?
No, I personally wouldn't, but I get why it's a question because it's been so bad.
Got me thinking, man. It's got me thinking because he's not going to take them hits that the young boy.
No, Covey. No, it says right now that now this was 3 days ago. The Eagles and the Packers are at the top of his list.
I think he's trying to drum up interest there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I hear you. Look,
his guy.
It's not out of the question.
That's a very interesting topic when you think of just him returning, him being explosive in the return. It'll make those guys like Sean Bradley and them block just a little bit harder.
Could be.
Yeah, when you got a guy like Desean Jacks back there.
It's a good case, bad case scenario because you put him on your team in terms of just speed. The way teams like Kansas City like to harvest all the speed they can get, but it's bad because Desean Jackson, wherever he goes, if he comes back, is not just going to be satisfied being a returner. Yeah. So you're going to have to appease him. And also the bigger question is, why isn't he playing? There's a whole lot of teams out there that could use a Desean Jackson.
Because his price tag. His price tag is.
You know what, though?
Look, just give you a great example. He's with the Rams last year in his hometown, and he forces his way out of there to go to the Raiders, and he misses out on a chance to win a Super Bowl ring. Like, I'm sorry. I don't have a lot of sympathy for that, man. Be a team player.
If they even entertaining that, you got to let him know, look, man, this is it. I don't want no Jason Peters situation.
Yeah, I don't want any nonsense.
Peters was like, well, if you take me to tackle, then you got to pay tackle money. I don't need all that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
And you see JP get all, you know what I'm saying?
No,
Pushed around.
Swing it back to a positive. How about this one? Defense has allowed 14 touchdowns this year. They've taken the ball away 14 times.
Mm-hmm.
That's a damn good ratio right there.
Yes, it
There's
is.
so many of those
Yes,
kind of
it is.
stats with this team that really just blow you away. I mean, that's one that caught my eye last night. I'm like, whoa. I mean, that is so different than what we saw last year and the last few years, really, when it comes to this defense. And I told you earlier about the point differential, which is really, really strong for them. It's another game where they just own the time of possession. For whatever it's worth, it can be a misleading stat sometimes, but they held the ball for almost 10 more minutes than the Cowboys did last night.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is the first half.
Yeah,
It
and
was
you can do the
ridiculous first
keep away
half.
thing. It's the first half, Barrett, and then it's when they need those big drives at the end of the
Yep.
game, and where you just take the other team off the field. Plain and simple. And they've been going to that mode, for a lot of the year so far.
I like I like the way this team is able to just Debo people and dominate them when they feel like doing it. You know what I mean? That's that's something I hadn't seen in a long, long time. A long time. That you have the capacity to go out there. All right, we're gonna run the ball. We're gonna run the ball. We know we're gonna run the ball, and we're still gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you're thinking. We're gonna run this rock, and just go do it. I mean, that's crazy that they're able to do that.
That's why I'll still say the offensive line is the strength of all the positions.
Oh, no question.
D-line has certainly had their moments. Linebackers are so improved. The secondary is so improved. Wide receivers are so good. I'll still take the offensive line when healthy.
Well, you heard Nick Sirianni say last night, man, he said, man, I had to go back. Sometimes you got to get back down to basics. You got to get it to your weapons. And I got 5 weapons that I wanted to, rely on last week. And that was my offensive line. Tonight. And then he said it happened last week also. They are my biggest weapons, that offensive line. I'm like, man, you ain't told nothing but the truth.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
It's almost like they get bored at points of the game. This is too easy. It's like they get bored and and they have this lull period, and all of a sudden they get the wake up call when teams get a little too close, and then all of a sudden they put their foot back on the pedal again, just to show that, hey, we can do this anytime we want, anywhere we want, from anywhere on the field that we want to do, and there's nothing you can do about it. It is impressive overall, just how that light switch flips off and on for this team, and they still come out on the positive side of the ledger.
Yep. No, listen, well said. How about Sirianni, guys? And we know he's a feisty guy. We know he's fiery, but there were a couple moments. One, he runs all the way down the sideline early in the game, reacting. And then the other one is when a lot of it started to get chippy and there was a cheap shot on Kelsey, and, Micah Parsons was taunting Goddard. There was a lot of stuff that went on during the game. And he's yapping the game over, bleepity bleep bleep bleep. Like, you don't often see that kind of conduct from your head coach. It is strange. I wonder how much that fuels fire for if you're meeting a team again later in the year, which would be Christmas Eve, when you're on the third of a back-to-back, which the Eagles will be when they play the Cowboys on that game. But I think it's another one of the reasons why this guy is really connected with the city. Like, he reacts almost like a fan would react in the seats a lot of times.
It's funny. He's very low-key, very modest, very humble when he sits at a podium. But all of a sudden, when that game starts, it's like a Tasmanian devil takes over. And I believe the players feed off that energy. They love his positive energy. And, most, like you said, Rob, most coaches, win, lose, or draw, they're reserved.
Yeah.
You don't see coaches, you're pumping his fist like a game over and mouthing certain words. You could tell once they knew that they had this game in hand, that it was a big, not sigh of relief, but feeling of exhilaration that his team finally shut up these Dallas Cowboys. His team wasn't doing the talking before this game. DeMarcus Lawrence talking all that mess about they haven't played us yet. Well, you know what? You hadn't played the Philadelphia Eagles. So what do you have to say now, DeMarcus? Everybody's talking about your defense that hadn't given up more than 1 touchdown in any game this season, gave up 3 in this game. Your defense that was averaging 117 yards allowed rushing gave up 136 in this game. your defense that have been getting off the field and giving your offense short fields that kept you in games. Your low scoring offense kept you in games that helped you over the hump. Wasn't getting the ball back this time, you know. So what do you have to say now? Nothing.
Yeah.
Go back, put your head between your tail, go back, do what you got to do, and learn a valuable lesson next time. Keep your mouth closed and just play the game. When the game is all said and done, do all the woofing you want. If you come out on the positive side of the ledger, fine. But leading up to that game, especially for a guy 30 years old who's been around the block a few times, you should know sometimes you put your foot in your mouth, you got to eat the shoelaces.
Yeah. So I like that. I like that. You got shoe polish breath when that's the case. So the Cowboys are home. They're next to. They don't have a bye week till week 9. So they're home Detroit, and then they're home Chicago. So they're set up pretty nicely here. It gets tough after their bye. After their bye, I don't know what Green Bay is going to be looking like at that point, frankly. But they go to Green Bay, then they go to Minnesota, then they have the Giants at home and the Colts at home. The Colts have kind of found their footing a little bit here. I'm not telling you they're great, but they've been better. So that's not an easy little stretch there for the Cowboys. They got 2 easy off and then a challenge after that. But the other interesting thing was, mentioned earlier, Micah Parsons, when Lane Johnson was in there, wasn't doing much. When Lane left is when he really started to kind of wake up and come on. Like, he's always disruptive, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't wreaking total havoc when Lane was in there. It just tells you how, like, we already knew this, but how good Lane Johnson is. And you hope it's not a real severe concussion.
Yeah.
Right. You know, when you got a guy like that, man, he totally shut him down when he was in there, you know, and he's the great equalizer, man. When you make a guy pick his ball up and go take it to the other side, that's exactly what he did. Because when they figured out that he was not there, Parsons didn't leave that left defensive end, right side of the offensive line. He didn't leave from there. And he went in there and wreaked havoc. You know, I was like, look, if we don't start running the ball, this is going to be a long, long night. Long night.
Yep.
Trust me.
Yeah. Agreed.
It'll be a long night.
Agreed. All right. So we'll come back. We will turn our sights to the Phillies, who are now advancing tomorrow night to the NLCS against the Padres in San Diego. We'll set the schedule for you, the pitching matchups, how they got there, all the big moments over the weekend, everything, all the craziness with this team. 2:00, we'll do our NFL talk, and then everything's on the table, including a new monster deal for Charles Barkley. I'll tell you about that as well coming up in a little bit. He's Derek. He's Barrett. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, with you on this Eagle, Philly, everybody Monday. Let's talk about Flynn Tree Services. Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem that you may face. So, do you have any type of tree issues in your yard or on your property? If you do, they're just a quick phone call away. They are experts trimming all types of trees and serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. Flynn Tree Services specializes in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. Now, keep in mind, you got storm and hurricane season underway right now. It is a great time to get your trees evaluated before some gust of wind or some bad weather takes them down. Go to their Facebook page or Instagram for more information and a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Welcome to Pond Lee Hockey. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lee Hockey a call.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Over the last 17 years, we've built a reputation of growing award-winning teams across the country. Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for hanging with us. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. We're with you each and every Monday through Friday, 12 Eastern to 3. And if you miss any of the show, any of the interviews that we do, any of our segments, and you say to yourself, oh, man, I had to run out, or as it work, don't worry about it. Just go to JAKIBsports.com. You can check out the shows in their entirety, or JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. You can check out all of our interviews. And you get a little gun on one. How about me doing a D-Gun free plug right there? Checks in the mail. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate that. Who is this week's Gun on One?
We're still debating. I have several choices. Haven't confirmed
who was last
yet.
week, at least, that they can watch?
Oh, last week was wait. Man, these weeks are all blur. Oh, Ray Dinger. Oh, my goodness.
There you go.
My
little
goodness.
senior moment there. You're all right.
Wow,
okay.
man.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we want to keep you surprised. We'll let you know when we know who this week's is going to be, but it's doing very well from what my sources are telling me. Anyway, so Phillies, guys, we mentioned it off the top of the show. It was really a remarkable weekend. They eliminate the world champions, the Atlanta Braves, 3-1 to advance. Let me start with the schedule, then we'll go back and look at what went down this weekend. They play tomorrow at 8:03 in San Diego. Then they play Wednesday at 4:35. Also in San Diego. They come back to Philadelphia after an off day Thursday. Friday night, they play at 7:37, Saturday, 7:45. We start to get into, if necessary, Sunday at 2:37. Keep in mind, kind of nice timing there because there isn't an Eagles game. Okay, you get the off day. So 2:37 if there's a Sunday game. So it's a 2-3-2 format. 2 San Diego, 3 Philly, 2 San Diego for games 6 and 7 if needed. There's no off day, by the way. You got to, after Sunday's game, you fly right to San Diego. You play Monday at 8:03, Tuesday at 8:03 if this thing goes the distance. And, looking very good for the Phillies in terms of the setup with the pitching matchups. You got Wheeler and Nola out of the chute, game 1 and 2, and you can utilize Wheeler in game 5 again. So you can get Wheeler twice in this series. And Nola, if it goes, relatively deep, you get Nola twice in this series. So they're set up, in a good way. They took 4 out of 7 during the regular season. The Phillies were 4-3 against San Diego during the regular season. They played relatively earlier in the year. They lost 2 of 3 here in May, and then they won 3 of 4 in San Diego in June. You may remember that San Diego series was the one where Harper took the pitch off the thumb from Blake Snell, which put him out whatever it was, 2 months. So
that was
it was
his boy. Yeah.
that was his guy. And so those two were buddies. I don't know how buddy they're going to be when it comes time to see who can, gets the rights to play in the World Series. But, nonetheless, I will say this, and I want to give Barrett props first. Saturday, Rob Thompson elects to go with Syndergaard to start the game. Barrett has been on the Syndergaard train, to his credit, throughout the playoffs.
I just say that because, you just want that veteran leadership. You want a guy that's been there before, who's pitched at that level.
Yeah.
You can't look to him to go out there and give you your 5 innings, nothing like that, 4 innings.
Right.
But he can start off, get you going in the right direction, get some confidence, and then you bring in your hitters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, and he did that. He gave one up on a solo shot. The beauty of Saturday was the runs they allowed were solo shots. They don't kill you. You can survive a solo shot.
Right.
Billy's got a bunch of 3 runs. Like Hoskins was a 3-run Friday. Marsh was a 3-run Saturday. Those are the ones that kill you. But it was a masterful job of manipulating your pitching staff by Thompson on Saturday. He got 3 out of Syndergaard and then started rolling guys. And it was everybody, all hands on deck. Bilotti, Alvarado, Eflin, Saranthony, Hand, and it worked perfectly. It really did. And I thought he really outmanaged Snitker in that series.
And you look at the last 2 pitchers he sent to the hill, both Eflin and Saranthony. They combined for 6 strikeouts and no hits. They just basically closed the door on this Atlanta team. And we were debating on the show Friday while we were out at the Dodge dealership. Who would you use as your closer? Yeah, who would you use as your closer? And I think right now the Phillies have three closers. It's closer by committee. And I don't know of any other team that has that luxury right now. You can throw Alvarado in there. You can throw Eflin in there. You can throw Dominguez in there. And, the way they're pitching right now, stack them up against anybody they're playing against right now.
And Derek, you make a great point. It's by committee, not by default. Like you're not saying to yourself, I don't know, Saranthony sucks right now. Eflin. No, like these guys are all, in a good place right now.
Or you're not saying, oh my goodness, he threw X amount of pitches today, I can't use him again tomorrow. You see, that's huge. In this day and age of why we watch the pitch counts of pitchers to determine whether or not they're available at a crucial point of a game the next day. You don't have to worry about that with these 3 guys on the back end. But looking at this series coming up, the storylines are incredible. 2 teams, 2 wild card teams that make the playoffs. It got hot at the right time. You have the Nola brothers going against each other. You got a mom who's divided between the 2 teams. What an incredible. I just saw a picture this morning where she's standing on the field with both sons and, talking about how she's going to be torn between 2 teams.
Wow.
What an incredible.
I guess you go harder the night Aaron pitches, right? I guess you go harder Phillies that night, and then I don't know what you do, man.
I don't know.
What do you do when Austin is up against Aaron as a parent?
Exactly. What are you gonna do?
That's crazy.
Have somebody design you a jersey that's half Philly and half San Diego.
I guess
I've seen that before.
I guess the positive is, if Austin gets a hit, you're happy for Austin. Aaron gets him out, you're happy for Aaron. I don't know how it works, man. But you're right, Derek. That's a really cool angle to this thing. The Nola parents, involved.
And then you look at the teams and where they're hitting. I mean, one of the big stories of the summer, the Padres get Juan Soto to go along with Machado, who's finally healthy now. And you look at the way they won that series against the Dodgers. Man, you talk about timely hitting. Oh. They don't blow you away with the long ball. They kill you with the spraying the ball all over the place.
Yep.
And they're all hot. The whole lineup is hot right now. The pitching staff. And then they make the move to get Hader from Milwaukee.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden, when he first got to San Diego, people are wondering, did the Brewers sucker them in this deal?
He lost
couldn't buy it out.
Derek. Yeah, and that's not like him.
No, couldn't buy it out. All of a sudden, he gets to the postseason. It's the Josh Hader everybody expected him to be.
Yeah.
99, 90, 101. I mean, you look at this guy, look how wispy he is in terms of build. My goodness. Ball comes out of his hand and all you hear is scoop. I mean, he's back to where he was. It's what a great I can't wait to see this series. Now, obviously, you hope the Phillies win it. I just can't wait to see the series of drama. San Diego is lit like right now, like never before, because the Padres is all they have.
Right, exactly.
Chargers are gone. The Clippers. I was there. I covered the Clippers when they were the San Diego Clippers.
Right.
Wow.
When Kobe Bryant's dad was playing for the Clippers, you know, Jelly Bean Bryant was playing for the Clippers. That's how all those Clippers are. They move up the coast. Then the Chargers take off and move up the coast. Now all they have is the Padres and San Diego State. And San Diego State's, you know, irrelevant most of the time anyway. But this team is on fire. We know what Philly is as a baseball town, and how the excitement about this team is at a fever pitch like never before. I would say the fan base has gone crazier for this team than they did in 2008. To be
Well,
quite
let me
honest
ask you
with
both this. You know, between Melvin and Thompson, who's done a more masterful job? I mean, you got two guys that brought in a lot of firepower. They have a lot of firepower as far as batting, and hitting. You know, I mean, who's going to have the harder job? You think?
Wow, that's a good question, Barrett. I didn't think of it in those terms. Wow. First, I say both have done really good jobs. Number one, you know, Melvin, he came over from the A's. He got out of a situation where they were constantly rebuilding and retooling, and he just said enough already. So he's been in place all year. Whereas Thompson takes over at June 2nd. I don't know. It might be a push. Honestly, like both managers have done a really good job. I don't know if there's a distinct advantage there. I'll say this. The way Thompson managed that last series for the Phillies, I'm good no matter who he's facing. Like, I feel like he's got such a feel for his team more than anybody else. You know, the other thing I like about this team, they celebrate. Like, they're enjoying the moment. It's not the second they win, we're on to the Padres. Right. No, like it's okay that night to go have fun. And it was really cool to watch. I think they really like each other. And I know winning breeds like, you know, people getting along and all that, but I think they really like each other. I love the fact that they wanted to sort of get out in the town. They went to Xfinity Live and were up on the balcony partying and acknowledging the crowd. Like Harper was there, Stott was there, Rob Thompson showed up too. That kind of stuff is cool. They've really connected with this fan base, man. They really, really have. And San Diego, like the way they're just to get in their shoes a little bit, they slayed the dragon, man. The Dodgers, are you kidding me?
The Dodgers own them.
Yes.
All Dodgers own them all season long. Dodgers had the best record in baseball, possibly the best lineup in baseball, possibly the deepest pitching staff in baseball. And the Padres found a way to oust them. I mean, that's the beauty of sports, man. A lot of times what should be isn't, you know, and I like, you know, I know the networks would love to see a Dodgers Yankees World Series because of the network ratings to the two biggest markets in all of television. But from a pure fan standpoint, I like this breath of fresh air. This was a Phillies team that was left for dead by the previous manager.
Yep. People
just wanted them to do well to see if they could get into the playoffs. They endure all of these injuries. I mean, Castellanos, Harper, pitching staff, Eflin, Wheeler, you know, thinking, can this team hold on? All you got to do is just hold on. They don't even secure a playoff spot until the second last day of the season.
Right.
And think about it. It's very similar to what the Eagles went through. If Major League Baseball had not expanded the playoff format, the Phillies probably don't make the playoffs.
Yes, they don't.
When you think about it, they don't make the playoffs.
No, you're right.
Just like the Eagles. If the NFL doesn't expand to 7 teams, Eagles don't make the playoffs last year.
Yep.
But because that door is open a little bit more, not only do they get to the playoffs, they're one of the 4 teams, well, one of the 2 teams left standing in the National League right now. I think it's just an incredible storyline.
Learning process. Yep.
Oh my goodness. And now this team, who knows? They could ride that wave and win it all. You don't know where they're playing right now.
Well, they're just young enough not to understand that they're not supposed to be as good as they are.
Yeah. Look no further than the Braves last year, who caught fire at the end of the year and rode that wave all the way in, man. So
I don't know.
You know, it's not necessarily the team. Look at the Dodgers, look at the Mets, those teams that are just out of it that won 100+ games. It's they're in the right place. But it was such a fun weekend. Like that game, I'll tell you what may have flipped the entire series here from a Philly standpoint. Well, certainly in Game 3, the Bryson Stott at bat. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he early in the game, it was scoreless. He's battling Spencer Strider, who was a rookie stud, and he's just fouling pitches off, fouling. pitch count building up. Finally, man, he hits one into right field, and the Phillies get on the board. And it was like everybody could just exhale for a minute. And then right after, that same inning is when Hoskins hits his home run. And I'm with you, Don. I'm not a huge bat flip, whatever. I think it's time and place. Like if you're down 15-1 and you're doing a bat flip, you're a jackass, right? But in that moment where it is a playoff game that gives you a 4-0 lead for a guy who had been struggling, man, for him, and it's his first postseason home run, it's pretty fitting for him.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's a great exclamation point for a guy who has had so much pent-up frustration because so much was expected of him. And you look at where he was in the lineup. When you're in the top 4 spots in the lineup, you're expected to be an igniter. And this dude was 2 for 16, 0 for 4, 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts here, 3 strikeouts there. And of course, when you're in a market that pays attention to that stuff more so than a lot of markets like Philadelphia, you cannot avoid television. You cannot avoid the radio. You cannot avoid all the talk shows. If you don't hear directly, you got somebody feeding you all the information that you need to know. And that wells up in you. Those competitive juices are ready to explode. And I think that was his explosion moment. Finally, the exclamation, the proverbial monkey is off his back. He delivers in a big situation. And I love that moment. I just have a problem with the everyday game. I think in a lot of ways it's disrespectful. Right. When you're old enough to think about the way the game used to be played, guys would hit a home run, drop the bat, run around the bases, high five the people, go back to your dugout. Even if it's a big moment, pump your fist. Kirk Gibson, prime example, hits one of the most memorable home runs in playoff baseball history. He pumps his fist. Sure. He wasn't flipping the bat. He's not pointing at the stands. Well, I mean, really? I think that's disrespectful to the opposition because if somebody did that to you, all of a sudden you have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Fight. So you want to fight. He embarrassed me like that. What are you going to do? Put next pitch under his chin?
Right.
Well, you know what? You started it, No,
well, at least he didn't sun him. Like the Guardian game.
Oh, yeah.
He rocked the baby.
Oh, that was boy.
Oh, my goodness.
Man, that's back in the day, like where he's wearing one the next time he comes to the plate.
Right.
Exactly.
But yeah, and again, not to be lost in that game 3 is Nola. I mean, Nola, just unbelievable, and that's what he's been. You think about what he's given them, going back to the Houston game where they clinched on that Monday, then St. Louis on the road, and then the game this past week. He's been unbelievable.
Yeah, and see, Rob, I'm looking at this guy, Fly Eagles Fly 360. Can you pull up his comment right here for a moment? See, this is what I'm talking about. People don't hear what you're talking about. That's a soft way to think, D-Gun. These guys work hard their whole lives to get to that moment. Of course, they're going to show emotion. I didn't say anything about Rhys Hoskins in that moment. That was fine. He slammed the bat. He enjoyed the moment. I'm talking about over 162-game season when you got the guys running down the field doing this stuff after a home run. The guy flips the bat in the air or stands there and stares down the picture. That's excessive. You don't need that.
It's simple. It's time and place.
Exactly. See, it falls into that narrative of people hear what they want to hear and then blow it up in the wrong direction. You're not listening.
Yeah.
You pay attention to what we're talking about here. We are people who have seen the game the way it was played compared to the way it is played now. We're not saying one is better. I'm just saying that aspect of the game, I don't really care for. That's my opinion.
Right.
That has nothing to do with their work ethic and enjoying the moment. They're one of the few athletes who have this opportunity to play the game at the highest level on the grandest stage day in and day out. But there's a certain respect that goes along with the game that we forget about.
Right. Listen, Hurt. Well said, Derek. Well said. Just sort of speaking of that to an extent, on the inside the park home run on Saturday from Real Muto, Ronald Acuna Jr. doesn't even move in right field to back his guy up. It kicks off that jutted out wall and it goes in the right and the center fielder Michael Harris has to run all the way to almost right field to get. How does that happen in a playoff game where you're not busting it? Like, I will never understand that ever, as long as I live, that you're not giving everything that you have in a playoff game, man.
I don't get it.
An elimination game for your team, by the way.
Exactly.
Atlanta was an elimination game. It's incredible.
I don't get it. It's not like you're a rookie. You're a veteran. You know what's expected of you.
Yeah.
And to give a not even an effort like that, I mean, what are you thinking?
It's hard to fathom. It really is. It's hard to fathom.
They're going to be watching that. They're going to be watching that. You know, he's got to watch that for the rest of the offseason. You know what I'm saying? He's got to wear that for the rest of the offseason.
Absolutely.
I found it really interesting. I heard a clip of their radio broadcast, Atlanta's, and you know how the local broadcast team is usually pretty favorable to the home team. They're not going to go after their own guys too much. And I will say this, Larry Anderson will go after, if he'll call guys out on certain things. So I don't mean every broadcast team, but I give Atlanta, I don't know who was doing color for them, the color analyst, but he went after Acuna Jr. and pulled no punches. I hope there's no repercussions for the guy. I hope so. But he hit him pretty hard about it. So I props to him. So they did a nice job with it.
And rightfully so.
Yeah. No, rightfully so. Exactly. So everything is kind of lining up. Your bullpen is starting to hit their strides. Bryce Harper is hot. Real Muto's hot. You know, the daycare, the younger kids are doing a really nice job in general. The only one you really got to kind of, and Marsh is doing a good job. The only guy you really got to kind of get going here is Schwarber. He's the only one from a bat perspective who isn't hitting his stride right now necessarily.
I think he's overthinking the cases now. I think he's building up so much that he's overthinking, and every swing now is for the fence. You know, and I think that's taking him away from what he did all season long to help this team to get to where they are right now. And, you know, hopefully he can come out of that, because they still need his bat. As well as things are going for this team right now, they need his bat in big moments. Yep. I mean, he's never going to hit for high average. I mean, we can concede that. Yes. But he gives you a power stroke in that lineup that can change the game at any given moment, and it just hasn't existed yet. Now, luckily, what was Harper, 8 for 16 in this series?
Yeah, he was incredible. He's been incredible in the postseason, Derek.
Yeah.
Altogether.
So he's finally back. Harper's finally back. You know, my boy Castellanos has played well in the postseason. Okay.
Yes.
We just need that big bomber back in the front end of this lineup.
100%.
He's just maybe too far up, but hey, there's going to be no changes in that lineup, bro.
Right, and that's what. Look, you give Thompson credit. He dances with who brung him. You know, and that's for sure. Harper postseason 10 for 23. That's a .435 average, 3 doubles, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs in the 2 series. So. And the last one he hit on Saturday went the other way, which is always a good sign for him when he's heading to the opposite field. So Harper hot for sure. How about the Phillies pitchers in that game Saturday? 15 strikeouts, no walks.
Yep.
That is
what
awesome.
else? What else can you ask for?
I mean, that's Syndergaard, Bilotti, Hand, Alvarado, Eflin, and Dominguez. 15 strikeouts, no walks
against that lineup.
Awesome, and they've now beaten a 93 win team and a 101 win team.
I'll take that every day.
Yeah.
You know, you beat the defending champs with the lineup is as good as any lineup in the National League, and you had 15 strikeouts and no walk against them in a defining game.
Yep.
I'll take that 100 times out of 100.
That is crazy that we're sitting there talking about a team. I mean, this team, they believe, man. They believe, man. And
they're in a good place, man. They're in a good space headwise.
Yes. And that goes unlooked at a lot of the times when guys are playing that well, and then they're not just playing individual baseball. They've beaten guys, any way you talk about. They small balled a team the first game with Atlanta. They brought their bats the last game against Atlanta. They've done everything that you want from a team standpoint on scoring runs. And them going through that progression is only teaching them how to win more.
Yeah.
Just like this Eagles team, they're learning how to win. Just keep learning. As you go along, you become more and more versed on the different ways that you can go out there and beat a team.
No question. Yeah, no question. And here's the other thing. They've been road warriors. They've taken care of business at home when they had to. I mean, you think about it. You go to St. Louis, you win those first 2. You get the first one in Atlanta. So you got 3 of those 5 wins. They're 5-1 in the postseason. 3 of those wins have come on the road. So you're gonna be on the road for the next series more than you're gonna be home. Well, maybe not. I mean, but you hope not. Maybe you just come home and win 1 on the road and win 3 at home. You never go back to San Diego. But the point is, they're kind of used to this underdog role. and it's I think they wear it pretty well, so far. It's worked out as far as that goes. So it's going to be interesting tomorrow night. They get it started at 8:03, and again, reminder that the Wednesday game is in the afternoon. The rest of the games in the series are all at night, except for if there's that Sunday game, which would be 2:37. So we haven't heard yet who San Diego's going to go game one. We know for the Phillies, out of the chute, you're going to go Wheeler and then Nola. And then the question becomes, do you go Ranger in game three? I think they probably will go Ranger game three, even though he wasn't great in his last outing. That would probably be my guess. But then it starts to get interesting after that, Barrett. Do they go back to the same formula that they went to on Saturday with Syndergaard and then kind of a bullpen game from there? It's so far so good, right?
Right. So I really don't trust them bullpen games, but at least they have guys that can go out there, and he has so much faith in guys like Eflin and Sir Anthony that he doesn't mind sticking either one of them. In a power in a situation where he needs to get out, he'll throw Eflin in there,
Yes.
or he'll throw Sir Anthony in there. I mean, he is mastered right now playoff baseball in just a little amount of time with the team that he took over this year.
All right, so a couple real quick, and we're going to do an NFL segment coming right up. But let me give you a couple of these. The Arizona Cardinals have lost Justin Pugh, their starting guard, left guard. Looks like
Syracuse
he's done.
Guy.
Yeah, he's a Philly guy too.
Yep.
Season-ending knee injury. So
wow,
that's not looking good. So they added some firepower with Robbie Anderson, but they have lost a guy there.
Well, now it makes sense why they added Robbie Anderson because they may have lost Hollywood Brown for the season.
Yep, he got hurt as well. Yeah, man. That's why I pointed out earlier. Eagles are in pretty good health.
Yeah, they are.
Health-wise, headed into the bye. All right, let's step aside. Let's come back, and we will dig into the NFL, including the Giants, who just keep doing it. Packers can't quite figure out what's going on with them. Bucks, bad game as well. A great one between the Bills and the Chiefs. All kinds of other stuff in store. Do the Patriots have a quarterback controversy? We'll do all of that when we get back. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Welcome to Pond Lee Hockey. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lee Hockey a call.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Over the last 17 years, we've built a reputation of growing award-winning teams across the country. Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Sports Take on this Monday. Barrett, Derek, and Rob hanging out with you, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, so guys, NFL Week 6. By the way, we have a game tonight. The Broncos and the Chargers, and Denver's defense has been really good, and their offense has been really bad, and to say the least. And the Chargers are in at that 3-2 mode. You wonder if they can start stacking some wins together. It's a critical game really for both of them out there in the West. And you just look at the standings before we get into everything from that already went down yesterday. But you look at the AFC West, you're chasing the Chiefs, even though they lost yesterday. But this is an important one really for both of these teams. The game's in LA. Chargers are -4. I'm not believing enough in Denver's offense. I would lean towards the Chargers in this one. Where are you guys at?
Well, if you base it on what Denver's brain trust is telling you, then this should be one of Russell Wilson's better games because they said they finally addressed the shoulder injury. He's throwing better than he has in quite some time, so there should be no excuses in that. I'm not saying Denver will win the game, but there should be no excuses for Russell to play a much better game compared to what he has shown up to this point of a season because he's been putrid up to this point of a season.
He's played bad football. It's not necessarily what's going on around him. He's playing bad. I know the offensive line isn't great, but they're good enough that they can go out there and play and execute a game plan. He doesn't have it, man. I mean, I'm trying to see if it's, he's just, not healthy enough. I'm hoping that's the case, but I just don't see him taking his play anything better than what he's doing right now. Is the offense that much different? I mean, if a guy's open, hit him. And he hadn't been able to do that. I could see if it was schematically they're not doing things right, but I see guys wide open. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to throw a tough football. Yeah. But he's still not getting it there to him.
No, I wonder, trailing a lot of passes.
Yeah. I don't know if this isn't happening. I'm just sort of hypothetically. Don't you have to go to him and say, look, man, what are you most comfortable with here? What did you do in Seattle? You want to just do that? We'll scrap everything. We got to change this up. I almost feel like it's like square peg round hole where Russell wants to do something and Hackett and his crew, are sort of, let's kind of do this. It looks that discombobulated. Like I can't imagine that he's fallen off the cliff this much, that it's all on him. Barrett, I know it sounds like you think he has. I'm not saying it. I'm saying I don't know. It's weird to me that he's gotten this bad. Sometimes you lose a step, it feels like 3 for him.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, you do have the ability to run the ball. You have that ability, which should open up a little bit for play action. But even when you open up with play action, I saw Cortland Sutton running down the sideline, and he couldn't hit him. Nobody's around him, and he couldn't hit him.
Yeah.
He couldn't hit a guy running wide open down the sideline. He was pissed. Oh man, he was pissed. Sutton was like, what is going on? Judy running a drag route across the field, throwing behind him. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the times that I've actually watched him play, he's lost his touch. He used to be so great at putting a touch on the ball. Everything is a fastball with him now.
That's it right there.
Everything
That's it right there.
And he's sailing passes, throwing wide. I don't get it. This is not the Russell we're used to seeing. And I don't know if he's feeling the pressure of signing a $245 million contract. He has everything that you need. You know, he wasn't put in a situation where he's with a team that's rebuilding. He had an offensive line, a good offensive line in place, had good running backs in place, a trio of really good wide receivers, and he's been nothing like the Russell Wilson we've been accustomed to seeing for years. He's throwing everything like he's throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastball now, and then I don't get it. I just don't get it with him.
No, that's it, D-Gun, right there, man. Yeah. I couldn't really think about it. You know, I'm like, he's overthrowing guys. I mean, he's not pinpoint. He's just not putting any type of touch on his footballs.
No,
there's no touch. He's underthrowing or overthrowing them, throwing behind him. There's no touch. No touch at all. That's exactly what it is, man. There's no touch. That's how I would.
And you can say that, okay, they lost a great running back for the season in Javonte Williams, but you still have Melvin Gordon. You still have Latavius Murray, who you picked up. So you still got quality backs behind you. All you have to do is manage the game. You know, he was one of the best in the business managing the game. So is it coaching? Is it the offensive structure? How much of it was the shoulder? But then again, he had this shoulder injury that they were talking about, but he still has a zip on the ball. He just can't hit anybody accurately right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump around here a little bit, guys, from week one. Let's start with the Giants. You know, I watched a ton of that game yesterday, and I've had a chance to watch them in chunks, I would say, rather than entire games. Two observations, and I'm not, breaking news, but I'll give you two observations. One, their defensive line is really good. Really good. And two, they're really well coached. There was no better example that Saquon Barkley in sliding yesterday at the end of the game to eat clock rather than scoring and making it an 11-point game. We saw Cleveland do that earlier in the year and they lost because of it. And I don't kill the Cleveland running back for going in there, but Saquon did that and to put the game out of reach. They were really good and they forced Lamar into some bad turnovers. And there's something wrong with the Ravens, by the way, but nonetheless,
there is.
Yeah, that's a part of it too. But they're not like I think they're going to come back to earth, but I don't think they're going to fall off the earth either. That's the way I view the Giants. And Dable's doing an incredible job.
Right. Now, Derek, do you see that? Was that one of the games that you saw was going to be a game that the Giants were going to win? Was that one of your games?
Yep, that was. I got 2 out of my 3 right in terms of my upset specials. That was one of them because you guys looked at me and said, "Whoa, Giants winning at the Ravens." I said,
"You did have that."
The way they're playing right now, all you have to do. Winning is a multiple phase process. First, you have to believe you can win. Then you go out and shock the world and execute, you can win. And then all of a sudden you're instilled in that confidence. You can stand up to a lot of people you couldn't stand up to just a year ago. They've won more games in 6 games this year than they won all of last year. So now this team's looking around at each other. You know what? Maybe we're not so bad. Maybe we're not the bad news bears of the National Football League. When you look at the way they play, they don't do anything outstanding. They do the little things well. They get a necessary turnover. I mean, Baltimore had 211 yards rushing against this team yesterday, but they got the necessary turnovers on defense when they had to. They make the necessary plays on offense when they have to. They're not a flashy team. Saquon Barkley is going to get his workload. I mean, the receivers who are their leading pass catchers, I'm sitting there going, who's this? I never heard of this guy before.
Bellinger and some of these guys, yeah.
Who was the other guy last week? Robbie, Richie something. I'm like,
yes.
Who's this?
Yeah, I know.
And the leading receiver had 37 yards receiving.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, they came out on the winning side of the ledger again?
I can't believe it.
Yeah. He's not turning the ball. Jones isn't turning the ball over. I'll give him props.
That's huge. That is huge.
Yeah, and he embraces the sort of game manager thing, and I give him props for that. He's not trying to get outside of himself a little too much. Their bread's buttered with Saquon and their defense, and they're well prepared for every team they play. Now, keep in mind, that was a big game for Wink Martindale, Giants defensive coordinator, because he was taking on the Ravens. No question. He did a nice job not allowing Lamar to kill him, and forced him into two really bad mistakes, one late. So there was more going on there too behind the scenes in that game as well.
Their linebackers and their down linemen have been holding that team up. I mean, they've been really playing well.
Mm-hmm.
And that Kayvon Thibodeau is barely getting his feet wet. He comes up with a great strip yesterday, his first strip sack in the National Football League. And that dude, when I watched him play in college, I'm thinking he's going to be a monster, and he's going to be that monster if he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
But they're definitely going in the right direction. I'm not saying, well, who's to rule out that they're a playoff team this year? When you look at the mediocrity in the NFC right now, who's to say the Giants can't get in the playoffs somehow?
Not out of the
7
question.
teams?
Right.
That's not out of the question.
Not
I
at
don't
all.
know if they're going to win anything, but
well,
still.
Derek, there's 3 teams in the NFC East that are above 500. If you go outside of the NFC East, there's only one other team that's over 500, and that's the Vikings.
Yes. Yeah.
Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, right? And Vikings. Everybody else is 500 or less. So could 3 get in from the East? It's not out of the question.
Absolutely.
Totally
Absolutely.
Wow.
All right, let's go to the Jets. Let's stay in New York here. This thing's real with the Jets. They can run the ball with Breece Hall. They had a great rookie class. They have guys who can flat out play. Sauce Gardner, Hall, etc., who are giving them major contributions. Like, they handled the Packers.
No question. Their defensive front owned the trenches in that game against Green Bay. Green Bay could not block the defensive front at all yesterday. Aaron Rodgers got beat up in that game yesterday. And it's a young nucleus of players that's doing it. You know, that's the thing about him. I thought the young running back, Breece, was the best running back in the draft this year. And all of a sudden, he's
from Iowa State or something like that.
Yeah, Iowa State. Yeah,
I
thought he was the best back in the draft. So the Jets had 3 first-round picks. They scored big on all 3 of those. They get this kid in the second round. They get 4 starters out of this draft. You know how rare
Douglas
that is
looking real good.
Oh my goodness! You know, just a year ago, people were wondering if Douglas was the right hire. He shut up a lot of people this year because the Jets. We said it last week. When was the last time both NFL teams in New York were relevant at this point of a season? It's been a long time.
Yeah, I can't remember.
That's right. They got 3 first rounders. They got 3 first rounders. What's his name? Jermaine Johnson.
Yep.
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
Wow.
And then they get Breece in the second round. I mean, you kidding me?
Right.
They're tough, man. Yeah, I would not. Time to stop sleeping on the Jets. Anybody who has been, and and Wilson. By the way, they matched their win total from last year. Wilson isn't lighting the way they did. He's not lighting the world on fire, but he's doing enough. He's playing smart football.
It's very similar to Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
He's not going to wow you with his numbers, but he's not turning the football over. Absolutely. And look at the play calling. The Jets' play calling is impressive also.
Yeah, they're mixing it up.
Whoa. Are you kidding me? I mean, they're doing a great job. I mean, and I love that. I don't care about the Giants or the Jets, but I love great storylines. I get, every now and then you get tired of the same storylines every year. 49ers are good.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay's good.
For years, the Patriots.
The Patriots. Now the storylines have flipped. You were talking about teams like the Giants and the Jets coming up from out of nowhere. I love great storylines like that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So this one, and this is going to pain you, Derek, but very quietly, the Vikings are 5-1.
Oh, no.
This has been a very under the radar move since the Eagles hammered them on week 2. It was
right.
Are we buying this? I mean, so one of them was a double doink in London that they survived, but Justin Jefferson has found himself again after a couple off weeks.
Well, I'm still not 100% buying the Vikings because their MO has been the same the last 3 weeks. They build a lead, they find a way to lose a lead, then they have to scramble to win a game again. The bottom line is they're winning.
Oh, were you talking about the Eagles? Oh,
No.
okay. I thought you were talking about the Eagles. Yeah.
Now
the
the Vikings. The Vikings.
Calling Marvin Gunn.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I talked to him the other day, and surprisingly enough, he never brought up the Vikings. I'm like, what's wrong with this picture?
Really?
Yeah, he didn't bring up the Vikings.
Did he rub in how the Packers are playing or no?
No. We're just talking.
Has Marvin turned over a new leaf? Like, what's going on here, man?
Oh, no. He's my brother. He's never going to turn over a new leaf. I'm never going to turn over
There's
a new
no leaf to turn.
No, that's not going to happen. I must have just caught him at a weak moment.
Right. But their rookie coach has done a pretty good job.
Yeah, he has.
He's done a pretty decent job for sure.
It's hard for any coach to come in and change the culture in 1 year.
Right.
Nick Sirianni did it last year. And you look at the coach of the Vikings now, he's done it in 1 year. They took a beating in Philadelphia and they bounced back real nice after that. I'm still not wild with what the Vikings do. I mean, they have explosive weapons, and Thielen caught a touchdown pass for the second game in a row. Thielen's like a forgotten entity in that offense.
He is.
Dalvin Cook is running the ball well. He broke one off for a big touchdown run on Sunday. You're right, Justin Jefferson is back. But still, it's just something about that team to me that's lacking. I can't pinpoint it yet. And even though they're one of the few teams that are excelling in the NFC, I'm not. There's nothing that when you look at the Vikings, I go, wow. Other than the fact that somehow, some way, they found a way to get to 5-1.
All right. So beyond that, I keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it. And Barrett, I think we're on the same page. The Bucs are not it this year. They're not that team, man. You don't go there. I know where it was in Pittsburgh and play that way with that Steelers team. They knock Pickett out, and Trubisky essentially beat you.
Yeah. And that's on the defense, which is their strong suit right now. Their defense, and you lose to Trubisky.
No,
I couldn't believe it, man. I couldn't believe it. Once you knock the starter out, man, it should go without saying. But they just I don't know, man. I really don't know what they're doing, bro.
It looks to me like Brady just has remorse, period, for coming back. I'm going psychologically here. Aaron Rodgers is kind of like, hey, I took the money, but this is not really how I thought this was going to look.
Yeah, this isn't fun.
Yeah, and I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm all in on this.
Right, right.
It feels like both of those guys are sort of like there's a little buyer's remorse that they didn't ride off into the sunset. They're both collecting giant checks. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I don't know if either one of them are long for this. There's a lot of stuff out that Rodgers may even step away. I think Brady, there's no question he's gone after this year.
I think Rodgers' body language and his conversation with the media after the game said it all. If we have the personnel the management thinks we have, we'll get it fixed. But if not, then that's a conversation we need to have. Translation, you better give me some pass catchers in here because
they gave them to them. They're just not hitting the curve.
They're not hitting it yet. Hey, I hate to deviate from this, but did you see? I was looking at this during the commercial break. Did you see that Michael Parsons chirping back at Big Cilio? I guess no. I guess Big Sil said something about Lane Johnson owned him, and Micah picked up on this and was going back and forth with Big Sils on Twitter.
No, tell me what the back and forth was.
I can't pinpoint exactly.
I'll see if I can find it.
That's a lot of people getting chirped back about. BG,
right, let's see.
You said BG chirped back at
Seth.
At Seth.
Okay, here I got it. You guys ready for it? So,
okay. All right.
Dan tweeted out about an hour ago. Memo to stupid sportscasters: Micah Parsons is not LT56, meaning Lawrence Taylor.
There we go.
Hashtag Dallas Cowboys. Hashtag Together Blue. New York Giants. I don't know what all that is, but so then Micah about 37 minutes ago tweets out, "I know I'm Micah Parsons!" Exclamation point. Thanks for the clarification, bro. Exclamation point. Just ask. I'll send you my birth certificate. All right. Actually, kind of weak by Micah, I gotta say. Like Sills wins that one.
But why even respond?
With Big Sills?
Yeah, but why even respond?
Yeah.
I'm saying, why did you feel the need to respond? Because like you said, his response was weak.
Yeah.
Why say anything? Move on.
Yeah.
You lost the game. You didn't play your best game. You lost the game. Move on.
And the Eagles were in his head last night. I mean, he taunted Goddard, got a flag for it. He did something else where it was, just it's not smart. I mean, if you can't keep your cool, man. Yeah, if you're responding that was pretty mild stuff from Sills. Like you're not Lawrence Taylor. That's not exactly a knock. There's one Lawrence Taylor that's ever lived. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's something you need to be responding to, but hey, Dan got under his skin a little bit.
It's a waste of characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that, a waste of characters.
The game, other than the game that we were highly focused on with the Eagles and the Cowboys, the Bills and the Chiefs game yesterday, guys. So The Bills win 24-20. It's a game where Allen on their final touchdown just makes a brilliant throw. He drops it right over a guy to the corner of to the side of the end zone to Knox, where he was pretty well covered. It was just a brilliant football play. And they were able to turn Mahomes over a couple times and won in a really big spot. That's a big win for Buffalo there, man. I give him a lot of props.
I couldn't see the end of the game because I was on post game, but I couldn't believe it. What happened? A pick right at the end.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Mahomes had two bad picks. One early where he should have just thrown it into the back of the end zone. There was nobody open. And he tried to force one as he was like rolling, buying time, in the red zone, forced a touch, an interception. That was bad play. Then last drive, the only thing you thought was Buffalo scored too soon, and here we go again. And Kansas City's going to go right down the field with Mahomes, but he threw an interception. He didn't see the guy. It was a really big win for them.
One of the few times his sidewinded throwing motion got him in trouble because the DB set him up. He read it perfectly. Soon as he saw Mahomes cock his arm, that's when he slid up in front of the receiver. Receiver already had a Buffalo Bill player trailing him closely on that crossing route. And all of a sudden, the guy sitting in the hole, he's reading him perfectly, steps up, picks off the pass, game over. One of the few times that the marvel that we enjoy in Patrick Mahomes failed to live up to that expectation. But I fully expect to see these two teams again in the AFC Championship game.
I'm with you, and I hope that's what we get, because that will be absolutely awesome. You're talking about two guys at the peak of their profession and their craft. Watching those two, Mahomes,
no
and Allen,
question.
It was
that touchdown you were talking about to Knox in the quarter of the end zone.
Oof.
The thing that made me chuckle was Allen stood back in the pocket. The offensive line held up perfectly, and he's doing this, telling the guy, just go, go. And he delivers a laser to the corner of that end zone for the touchdown.
No question. All right, I got to hit you with this one, because all of a sudden, the Patriots, who were a team that I was pretty much writing off, I'm being honest, have won 2 in a row now. And Bailey Zappi has played pretty well for them. Could Mac Jones get Wally pipped here?
They've done it before. I mean,
yep. Belichick's not afraid to do that.
Right. He ain't never scared.
No.
He'll do that at the drop of a dime.
First of all, I still can't take serious a quarterback last name Zappi. It's not
Zappi's
like
tough, man.
It's not like Unitas, Starback, Star, Zappi. It's not Allen, Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady.
Everybody can't have the last name Gunn, man.
Yeah, we can't all be Guns.
Now, come on, man. Seriously, Zappi.
I would say you better be really good at something if your last name's Zap.
Exactly. Change it to Zap.
You better make it to the NFL or be like a great actor or something else. You better be really smart in business.
Slappy Zappy. But he's played well.
Yeah,
he played well 2 games.
I'll tell you, the team it looks like they might be teetering on some trouble is Miami.
Oh yeah.
And I know they've been really banged up too. I mean, with everything with Tua and Bridgewater, who had to come in yesterday because Skylar Thompson got hurt. But they're starting to take on some water now too.
Yeah. What are they? They started out 3-0. They're 3-3 now.
Yeah.
And the quarterback play has a lot to do with it, but still,
Now I was just thinking, both parties right now with the Cheetah and with Kansas City wish they hadn't parted ways the way they did, because he would have been the deciding factor to beat the Bills if the Cheetah was there.
Yeah.
And then you turn around, if you look, anybody could beat you can beat anybody with those two together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I mean, his numbers are going to fall dramatically not being up there with Mahomes.
Yep.
I mean, they're going to drop straight down.
Well, the other thing, just to get this in before we put a bow on it, is Wentz has got a broken finger, and we don't know what that's going to look like for them as they go forward here. So they play Thursday. They won that just awful game Thursday night. They will take on Green Bay this week. That game will be home. Then they're at Indy, and then it's Minnesota. They have a tough 3 there.
Yeah,
you got a desperate Green Bay team, pretty desperate, an Indianapolis team that's playing better, and then a Vikings team that's 5-1. Then they're at the Eagles.
It's Taylor Heineke time.
That's their next 4.
It's,
yeah, I can't imagine, despite all of like Ron Rivera crying and Carson's my guy pulling a TO, he's my quarterback. That they wouldn't mind kind of pushing him out a little bit.
Oh, no question.
If Heineke comes in there and does anything marginally better than Wentz, Wentz is going to be watching from the sidelines.
Absolutely.
I think they're looking for an excuse to get him out of there. Now with this is that broken finger on his throwing hand or his non-throwing hand?
Throwing, I believe.
They're looking for any and everything to get him out of there right now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
It'll be so easy to do that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's the same logic that they pulled with Dak. Hey, you can't protect yourself. You can't grip the ball. We don't want you put in a bad spot. Go sit it out for a couple weeks, Carson. And then you watch Heineke will get on a run.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Carson's going to be like, here we go again, man. Every time I go to the bench, the starter takes over and goes off. He may not survive that one, man, if that's the case.
I always get Wally Pip.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, we talked about it earlier, if you're just tuning in, Robbie Anderson gets traded from Carolina to Arizona. Yesterday, he gets into a blow-up with Steve Wilkes, who's the interim coach for the Panthers. And Wilkes basically said, I'm not enough. Go to the locker room. And then he was yapping at him as he left the field. Look, I remember, this goes back to Temple. Robbie Anderson he will get into some stuff. Now he can run, he can track deep balls, and if his head's straight, he can help you. But he's also a pain in the butt. There's a lot of wide receiver diva with him. So
same thing, make you laugh, make you cry.
Exactly. All right, so we will come back and we will do a little Charles Barkley update. We'll talk about a couple other little odds and ends, some college football stuff that went down this weekend, including a huge upset and huge win for the Tennessee Vols. Gunner, who's got a really cool story on the Utah football team that upset USC. We'll get into that. Good birthdays, couple movies as well, and we'll put a little recap on all the Eagles talk that we've been doing. So don't go anywhere. That's Derek. That's Barrett. I'm Rob. We are Sports Day, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Right back.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Welcome to Pond Lee Hockey. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lee Hockey a call.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Over the last 17 years, we've built a reputation of growing award-winning teams across the country. Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us. We are Sports State, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, our final segment of the show. All right, guys, let's start with this one. Charles Barkley, and actually the entire TNT crew, that's Barkley, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, and Shaq, have re-upped with TNT. The reports out are Barkley's deal is 10 years, $100 million, could go up. No, listen to this. Could go up to $200 million if certain clauses and incentives are met. Whoa.
TNT has that kind of money?
20 a year?
Come
as
on.
part of an ensemble studio cast? Tell me again, when these leagues cry poor mouth, how much they're struggling with money.
Let's go, Jacob. We got next.
Exactly.
Well, who's paying him? Is the NBA paying him or is TNT paying him?
TNT, but I mean, it's reciprocal relationship, but that's damn, man. I knew Barkley was doing well. I didn't think he was making that kind of money.
Look, I love Charles Barkley to death, but when I'm listening to him doing the game, I don't get much from him. You know, Shaq, Kenny Smith, I learned a lot of things. I think Charles is there for the humor.
It's all about the byplay with those guys.
Yes, it is.
Breaking each other's chops, whether with Kenny or Shaq or Ernie getting on them. Charles, dressed up in some goofy or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's what they don't take themselves too seriously. And that's the great thing about the show, I think.
But $20 million a year for that?
But the money.
It's a great show. Don't get me
wrong.
It
is a great show.
Hands
I think
down
Ernie
my
Johnson
favorite
is a great facilitator.
Yeah, he is. He's a great point guard. Yep.
But my goodness, $20 million for that. I thought you were going to say maybe 8, 9. $20 million?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy, right? It's fascinating. All right, staying on that. Sixers open tomorrow.
That's crazy.
They open tomorrow against the Celtics in Boston.
That's
crazy.
Mean, it's not a Rudy Poo game either. It's going against the Celtics, man. Come on, man. This is how you want to get it started.
Yeah. I mean, that's, and did you ever think the Sixers would be, I don't know, third? I'm not going to say they're behind the Flyers, even though the Flyers started off 2-0. I'm not going to take it that far, but they're a distant third right now in our consciousness.
Well, I would say they're behind the Flyers right now because the Flyers, I mean, it's 2 games in, but be honest. Did you honestly think the Flyers were going to come out and win their first 2 games?
No.
When you consider what they did this past season, a new coach who has a hot and cold personality, a lot of the same team is back, and people are like, wait, the Flyers just won their first 2 games? What?
Yeah.
The Sixers are going to immediately have an impact because they're the Sixers and the additions they made and everybody's high expectations. And they're going in to play a Boston team that has a lot of in-house embarrassment right now. A Celtics team, a lot of in-house embarrassment right now.
Yeah.
People are going to watch. Your numbers are going to be great watching the Sixers. Maybe. Who do you think is going to be eyed more, Sixers or the Phillies tomorrow?
Phillies.
I think non-baseball fans will watch the Phillies. And the mindset will be, you know what? Yeah, we got 81 more games to watch the Sixers. This is a rarity. This is a treat. Nobody expected this.
No, they're pretty close in starting time. Sixers are 7:30. Exactly. Phils are 8. So there's not a big jump for one or the other. They're going head to head most of this.
So I watched the first quarter and a half. Maybe the Phillies started 8:03?
Yes, and the Sixers are 7:30. Yes.
So I'll watch the first quarter of the Sixers and jump over to the Phillies real quick and maybe go back and forth occasionally, depending on the lull in the action in the Phillies game.
Yeah, it will be a good little measuring stick game for them. You're taking on a team that went to the championship last year, but as you guys pointed out, there's a lot's happened, lately for them from a coaching standpoint. So If this Sixers team thinks that they're headed in the right direction, excuse me, if they're better, than what they've been over the last couple of years, okay, show it. Let's see. Let's see what PJ Tucker brings to the table.
Yeah.
Let's see what Melton brings off the bench. Let's see what kind of shape Harden's in. Let's see how the chemistry is with these guys. How much better Maxi's gotten. Like there's a lot. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'll be flipping back and forth hardcore. I mean, I'll be on both games pretty heavily.
Yeah, you can't help yourself.
Yeah, I can't help myself.
You can't help yourself.
That's for sure. And baseball gives you lulls where you can, all right, let me see what's going on here, and get back. Especially if there's like pitching changes and whatnot. So Sixers tomorrow. We mentioned this earlier, but it bears repeating. Jordan Poyer gets in a car and drives 15 hours to go play in Kansas City because he has a rib injury that the doctors wouldn't give him clearance to fly for. So they rent him out this sort of luxury cruiser thing. He drives from Buffalo to KC, 15 hours, plays the game over, hops back in the cruiser and headed back to Buffalo. That's a dude who wants the ball.
Not just a rib injury, Rob, but there was a partial collapsed lung.
Yes.
So you didn't want him to be 30,000 feet in the air, but he can suit up and exert and play football?
Right.
Are you kidding me? And he's taking shots to the chest?
I don't know how that works.
And he can play football, but he couldn't just fly with his team?
I don't know.
And that's weird, but
it's not weird.
It is
weird. Your boy JJ Watt almost fainted, heart almost exploded.
Yeah, he had arrhythmia. He had arrhythmia earlier in the week and played that Sunday. He's at the podium and he's crying. He's like, "Yeah, but I'll go Sunday." And you're like, "What, dude? You're gonna go Sunday?" Man. All right, I guess.
Medical marvel.
These guys, man, they are tough dudes. They are tough dudes.
It has nothing to do with that, man. You just. Some guys just can't get over it, man. I had to get over it real quick. I said I can't do it anymore. Some guys just think they can still do it. I mean, he is still doing it, but oh man, come on, man. It's just one of those things, man. When your body starts breaking down like that, you got to know when to say when.
Yeah.
Obviously he can't say it.
All right, so that's NFL stuff. So the guard, I mentioned the Guardians and the Yankees. It's a game 5 tonight. Winner takes all in New York. Their weather looks a little bit sketchy, so we'll see how that plays out. But if the Yankees win, they play the Astros. So, Phillies are a Final 5 team right now. There's 5 teams left. There will be 4 after tonight. It's pretty remarkable to be in the position that they're in right now, considering they were a team that just, I would say snuck in, but we know how this last month, September was a little dicey. And to be where they are right now is pretty impressive. And they're playing their best baseball. They're playing like they played when Thompson took over.
Yep.
Like that kind of ball.
Yep.
Right now. So we'll see how that shakes out. Gunnar, you pointed this out in our pre-show. I didn't get a chance to see it Saturday. Utah, I was on the air. Utah was playing USC, and good for them. They upset the Trojans. But Xander, we have the helmet that the Utah team, was wearing, and these were. Derek, you fill in the pieces here of what is going on.
So I picked up the game in the fourth quarter, and Utah has. I love Utah's uniforms first of all, but it immediately catches my eye. I'm looking at this huge decals on the side of the helmets, and there's not the school logo, team mascot, or anything like that. There's pictures on both sides of the helmet of faces, and luckily the announcers brought it up again during the course of the fourth quarter. What this signified. And so what it was, it's 2 former Utah players who died within a year of each other. Now, one kid, Aaron Lowe, to tell you a little bit further about the story, they both wore the number 22 when they were at Utah. They were both friends growing up in the state of Texas, and they ended up both going to Utah. Well, the one kid, Aaron Lowe, he accidentally shot himself on Christmas night, shortly after he was named the 2020 Pac-12 Offensive Freshman of the Year. His friend Ty Jordan was a victim of a house party shooting exactly 9 months to the day after his friend Aaron Lowe died. Okay. Hey. So they pay tribute to both of these guys. Now here's the feel good about this. There's this company called Schutz Sports Airbrush and Sports Artist, and the guy who did the paintings, these are hand painted. Now keep this in mind. This guy, I'm looking at it now on his Twitter account. His name is Armando Villarreal out of Imperial, Nebraska. And he puts out there, thanks to everybody for all the love. Thank you, Youth Nation. And then he quickly tells a story that over a span of 2 months, he hand-painted 150 helmets. His wife helped him and friends helped him. 150 helmets. They were working from like 8 in the morning to midnight most days, airbrushing these helmets. And you look at the detail of the faces. And then the most touching part about this was they go out and they upset number 7th ranked USC on an incredible 2-point conversion by the quarterback. And after the game, the moms of both former players are in the locker room. They're giving game balls, and there's not a dry eye in the entire locker room. I mean, everybody's in tears. But what a great moment to honor 2 guys who meant a lot to that organization. And I'm still sitting there looking at these helmets going, can you imagine? Look at how detailed they were. 150 of these helmets over a span of 2 months.
Wow.
And then to go out and win one of the biggest games in the history of your program on one of the most dramatic plays of your program, and then have the moms of both kids right there to watch the whole game, to be in the locker room, giving balls, and everybody in the locker room's balling. What an incredible story that was.
Unbelievable.
You're muted, Rob. I believe you're muted.
Yeah, Rob.
I'm sorry. I coughed and I never unmuted. My bad. Sorry about that. Tennessee, the other great game a little bit earlier than that one was Tennessee upset Alabama. And Hendon Hooker's got I think he's the front runner for the Heisman, but their quarterback from Tennessee. But man, what a wild scene that was. And
unbelievable too, man.
Yeah, they tear down the goalposts and they drug the goalpost out of the stadium. Was it Neyland Stadium in Tennessee? Yeah. I think they dumped it in the Tennessee River or something. But pretty crazy. But then Tennessee is basically like reaching out with like GoFundMe's for money for the goalpost. Like, really?
Are you kidding me?
The money that program brings in, I think it's kind of bad form, man.
It is bad form because when you look out right there by the stadium, you see these yachts chilling out there on the river. You ever go to that stadium? It's one of the nicest stadiums in college football.
Yeah, it looks
beautiful.
Cool. Checkerboard end zone and everything. Yeah,
beautiful.
The thing is, they pay players under the table more money than a goalpost costs. Are you kidding me? I mean, and I'm just saying in general, college football in general. For years, we've known this. Okay. Yeah. Now I looked it up. Supposedly, a brand new goalpost costs you like $12,000 brand new and then install. So now I don't know why it's such a big difference, but if it's ripped out and can no longer be used, it's like $30,000 to replace it and everything. You mean to tell me that athletic fund, the boosters, doesn't have $30,000 in pocket change? They can buy a new goalpost.
Yeah.
And not only that, but how many every major school has backup goalposts in a storage room somewhere for stuff like that. So you need $30,000. You're going to solicit a GoFundMe page.
They're acting like it's some rec league who you know what I mean. Doesn't have enough to get helmets for the kid. It's like, come on. And by the way, how about one of you, like Peyton Manning or somebody, just rip a check off? Let's get this over. You know what I mean? Can we just stop with this? You would think that's what it would be. But.
Hey, maybe I can start the D-Gun back in San Diego GoFundMe. I never thought about that.
You know what? Here's the crazy thing about this day and age. You would get some money.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. You know what? I think my problem is solved.
At least enough for gas money.
Well, I'm just letting you know that my days are numbered on this network. I just want you to know. I'm almost there.
We'll give you a Charles Barkley kind of deal. That's what I heard.
I'm halfway there.
Would that do it?
But lost in all that. Lost in all that. Your GoFundMe and everything.
Yeah.
Was Jalen Hyatt's monster day. 206 yards receiving.
Woo. Yeah.
5 touchdowns. They couldn't cover him. He went deep anytime he wanted to.
How often do you see Alabama's defense and secondary look like that?
That was not Alabama. But you know what I loved? Nick Saban's look on his face when that game was all said and done. I enjoyed every bit of that.
He was hot as fish grease.
Yeah, he was.
I enjoyed it all. That's what you get. Your professional program is not invincible after all.
All right, let's do some birthdays and then we'll get it back to the Eagles here.
Birthdays.
Was the worst days. All right, so Eminem is 50. Eminem's
Damn,
50.
you know he's that old. He's the same age as I am.
Yeah, man.
One of the best rappers of all time.
Born in 72.
Wow.
Yeah, was born originally in Missouri and then moved to 8 Mile section of Detroit. So that's
Well, you talking about a rag to riches story. This guy, I mean, when you read his story, grew up dirt poor, had nothing, single parent, and
dad rolled, mom was a mess.
Yeah, man, and all of a sudden he's risen to one of the most iconic rappers in the history of the rap game. Wow, what a story.
Incredible. All right, a couple others here. George Wendt, who played Norm in Cheers, is 74 years old. Norm.
Yeah.
Love Norm. Ziggy Marley, son of Bob Marley, 54 years old now.
Okay.
Felicity Jones, the actress, is 39 years old.
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald, stand-up comic, actor, died very recently. He was born in 1963. Rita Hayworth, who was a film star in the 30s and 40s and 50s, was born this day in 1918. Arthur Miller, who was a playwright, actually wrote, I think, Death of a Salesman, was married at one point to Marilyn Monroe, was born on this day in 1915, was Arthur Miller. Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane in the Superman movies, the old, from the late 70s, early 80s. Was born on this day in 1948. She's since passed. Evel Knievel, the Daredevil himself. He was huge when I was a kid. Was born on this day in 1938. Evil is not surprisingly no longer with us. He did not live a very conservative lifestyle. Evil. Mae Jemison, you may not know the name, but she was the first Black woman who flew into space.
Astronaut, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she is 66 years old. Michael McKean, who played Lenny of Lenny and Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley, is 75 years old.
Oh, get out of here.
Yes.
Lenny.
Wycliffe Jean, 53 years old.
Oh, Wycliffe. Oh, man.
Yep, Fugees. Mike Judge, Beavis and Butthead, and Office Space, was born this day in 1962. So he's 60 years old, is Mike Judge. What else you have, Gunner? That's about all I have.
That's it. You covered them all.
No, man. Talk about Kimo Räikkönen, man. Kimo Räikkönen.
That's
F1, an F1 race driver, man.
Yes, Barrett's
birthday,
sport.
yeah.
Did I see? It wasn't F1, but NASCAR guys got into a fight. Bubba Wallace and somebody else got into a fight.
Well, more like a little pushing match. I guess it was too much physicality between the cars on the track, and one didn't like it, and they expressed themselves. I guess when they were, I don't know if the race was over or was it a pit stop. I can't remember when exactly it happened. But nice to see race car ruffle its feathers just a little bit every now and then.
Guys get a little feisty. That's for sure. All right, birthdays in 19.
Fight a lot though.
Oh, they did. They do seem to get into it a lot.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson. It was after a crash in Vegas. That's what happened.
Okay. 1997, I Know What You Did Last Summer, debuted 25 years ago.
It's a great movie.
It was a good movie. Birdman with Michael Keaton, which was an interesting movie the way it was shot. It was all like single camera. It was kind of weird, but interesting. Came out in this day in 2014. Birdman. That's all I got movies. What do you got, Derek? Something else?
I got nothing else, brother.
All right, so a couple other odds and ends here that are of interest. It looks like the Titans have a deal for a new domed stadium in Tennessee. They will go with a dome. It'll be a 1.7 million square foot stadium with a dome, which will make it possible for them to host the Super Bowl, et cetera. It'll be located east of where their stadium is now. The projected cost, $2.2 billion. Is how much that bad boy. The Titans will,
that's not a lot though, right?
Well, the Titans ownership will put up $800 million to help fund the project. The stadium will also be funded $500 million by the state.
Wow.
So, yeah, man. That's a lot for the state to be.
Yeah, it is.
They're all about that.
Well, how much did Jerry Jones' stadium? His was
did Jerry finance all that himself? He may have. I don't know.
No, I think no, I think he did also because he has somebody. He said he has to have somebody in there 300 days a year in order to help him pay for that thing. Well,
and he does. I mean, in terms of concerts and everything else, he's always got something going on there. this was interesting. So the guy who won the silver medal, who came in second place to Jesse Owens in the 1936 Olympics in Berlin when he won in front of Hitler, which was unbelievably significant. His name was Karl Ludwig Hermann. Luz was his nickname. He was the men's long jump silver medalist who came in second. That medal sold for $488,435.
That's all?
Yeah.
I thought it'd be more than that. Wow.
Yeah,
still a good chunk of change.
Still,
that's almost $500,000.
Yeah, that's Germany's most valuable silver medal ever. Wow, he was killed in 1943 while serving in the German army. So, wow, he died 7 years later.
That's before taxes, Barrett.
Yeah.
How much you getting out of that? So it doesn't look as good as if it was up for 400 something.
That is a very good
I
point.
thought it would be close to $1 million, considering the significance of that medal.
I thought so too. Wow. Josh Gordon has been released from the practice squad of the Titans. That may be it.
That's it.
Yeah.
You've had more chances than a cat has lives. So, I mean, that's it.
That means he probably can't play because they don't have a ton of weapons, on the outside especially. So that might be
unless he asks for it.
I don't know if he's in a position. Maybe he did. All right. So from an Eagle perspective, off this week, you get the bye week, you get the rest up. Now, the way the schedule plays coming out of the bye for the Eagles, first up is going to be the Steelers, and that game is going to be here in Philadelphia. It's 1:00. The following week, they have the quick turnaround. That's a Thursday night game. So they're in Houston after that. Then if Wentz is healthy and playing, it'll be Carson and the Washington Commanders on Monday night. So we go, guys, Thursday night, Monday night in consecutive weeks.
Wow.
But good times. Yes.
Wait, did you say another Monday night game?
No, they'll have time off. So they'll play Thursday and have the long, 10-day off. Actually, it'll be 11 days. They'll play Thursday the 3rd, and then they don't play until the 14th. So it's Thursday night at Houston, Monday night here against Washington. So it's the 3rd is the game against Houston, and the 14th is the game against Washington. They have a nice little stretch. It's almost like a little mini bye week.
Yeah, it's like 20 days. It's like 20 days with 2 games.
A lot of days off. Yeah, a lot of days off. Then they're at the Colts, and then it's Green Bay, Tennessee. So that's what they have on deck for the Eagles. And again, as of right now, they're still favored in every single game that they're going to be playing.
And rightfully so.
And it's not changing.
Yep.
Yeah, not changing, certainly when you're undefeated. Yeah, that's for sure. It will not be changing. So that's what the Eagles have coming up. I think they had to go in today for some treatment and maybe some film, and then they'll be off the rest of until the following week.
Right. Start all up.
They've earned it.
Yeah, they certainly have. So I mentioned the Phillies. Phillies play tomorrow night against the Padres. That first pitch will be 8:03. And then Wednesday is an afternoon game, which will be 4:35. Back here in Philadelphia, first time in a long time with LCS games. They'll play Friday, Saturday, Sunday here. The Sunday game is if necessary. Then they go back to San Diego on Monday and Tuesday. So that's where the Flyers are. The Phillies are. We didn't talk about other than saying that they're undefeated. Looking ahead to the Flyers and what they have coming up here. Tomorrow night, tomorrow you got the Sixers, the Flyers, and the Phillies.
Jeez.
Flyers are at Tampa. Yeah, Flyers are at Tampa at 7:00. Phillies, of course, 8:03, as we just mentioned, against the Padres. And then the Sixers are 7:30 against the Boston Celtics. Man, pretty busy Tuesday, random Tuesday in October.
I know it's early in the season, but if they go down there and beat Tampa, Tampa's a good team, good skating team. My goodness. Yeah. You go beat Tampa, man. You know what? You got to start paying closer attention to this team. I don't care if it is 3 games into the season.
Yeah, there's an interesting piece. It was ESPN.com. I think it was Emily Kaplan who wrote it, but saying how last year was the player said it was essentially like a country club atmosphere. And now with Tortorella, it's a completely different deal. Like there's accountability, guys are being tasked with leadership roles that maybe didn't want to do it last year. It's if you get a chance to check it out, it's a pretty interesting piece. But that's That's a big change up, man, from where things are. So that's kind of where we're at right now, sports wise. Obviously, I think the focal point, the most attention tomorrow night would be on the Phillies. I think the Sixers will get a decent amount of love. I think it could be a bit of a struggle for the Flyers tomorrow night in terms of eyeballs.
So what do you think will be the first thing out of the announcers' mouths tomorrow for the Phillies game when they set the stage for this matchup? What's the first storyline do you think they'll bring up in the game?
Ooh.
For who? The Flyers?
From a Philly standpoint?
Phillies?
Yeah.
Rob Thompson.
I agree.
Turn around on
I
the
agree
Thompson.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree 100%.
Yeah. Yep. I think Thompson, and then they probably go the route of Philly players who have been around a decent amount of time and haven't getting their first taste of the playoffs, like Nola, like Hoskins.
Think about that. Yeah. None of them guys have seen any playoff experience. If you haven't came from another team, you haven't had any playoff experience.
Yeah. And look, the great thing is they don't seem that phased, man. This team's pretty level. So that's a
then I think the third or fourth storyline will be Bryce Harper is red hot.
Yes. They're always going to work Harper into the equation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
yep,
yeah.
Agreed.
I think that'll be one of the top four storylines, how hot he's gotten all of a sudden when he basically tiptoed through September.
Yep. All right, let's put a wrap on this bad boy. We have the National Football Show coming up with Dan Cilio. You don't want to go anywhere. He's got you coming up. I want to thank Xander Krause producing the program. All of you in the chat room, you guys are the absolute best. Everybody streaming, everybody listening, everybody watching. We're back at it same time tomorrow. For Barrett, for Derek, I am Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. We will see you tomorrow, 12 Eastern to 3 Eastern for 3 hours of power. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great, great Monday.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Welcome to Pond Lee Hockey. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lee Hockey a call.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Over the last 17 years, we've built a reputation of growing award-winning teams across the country. Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.